Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of Live from the Works, because tonight we are going to be watching the definitely award-winning series, The Biggest Little Railway in the World. Now, some of you may know that I was in that. Those of you that don't, I was in that. So what we're going to be doing tonight is, and for the next 3 weeks, in fact, is we're going to watch every single episode of the show, and I'm going to natter over it. It's kind of like a DVD commentary, but you can do it live. I'm sorry, my computer's making noises, so that earns a fail bell. Excellent. Right. Nice to see we're carrying on the traditions as normal. So anyway, yes, this is like a DVD commentary, but you can ask questions in real time, and we will answer them. Yes, I did just say we, and there's a very good reason to that, because tonight I am joined by two very special guests indeed. And for the next few weeks, we are going to be joined by people who also took part in the show. So I hope you will give them a very warm welcome. Our first guest is a gentleman by the name of Derry, who is a railway enthusiast and member of Team B. Derry, good evening.
That's not Derry. On the screen.
Working with Zoom there. That's kind of ruined who my next guest is, but never mind. And our second guest this evening is Team C member, expert railway modeller, and a quad biking and extreme tumbling enthusiast. It is my good friend Dick.
Hi-yo.
Oh dear. How are you both? Are you well?
Well, alive.
Alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all survived plague, so that's a bonus.
No, don't say it yet. We've got a couple more days of 2020.
Touch wood. Touch wood. Oh dear. Oh dear, never mind. Anyway, so while we're nattering away, I've got some housekeeping stuff for you. I'm going to preface this by saying one very important thing. This stream will not be playing The Biggest Little Railway in the World. For one very simple reason, and that is I'm scared of the YouTube copyright algorithm. And it would not be legal for me to show that to you. However, we have a way around that, because if you're based in the UK, you can view all episodes of the show for free on the Channel 4 streaming service, All 4, the link to which I am pasting into the chat room now. There we go. So, if you all want to make your way over there, tonight we will be watching episodes 1 and 2, beginning, as is traditional, at the very beginning, because it is a very good place to start, episode 1. And we will be kicking that off at around 7 PM. I'm going to give you guys roughly 8 minutes now to get that set up, ready to go if you haven't already. And this will hopefully be good fun. We are going to... I've just realised that my microphone is peaking horribly. I'm sorry about that. I've deafened you all, so that's good fun. Okay. So, touch wood. So I've just seen in the chat room someone's made a Torchwood reference. Amazing. Right, so yes, if you will be joining in, watching along, please go and look up in the... on the link I've just put in the chat room now. We're starting from episode 1, so if you want to load it up, skip through the adverts and then pause it at the beginning, and we will all press play together on my instructions.
This is going to go terribly.
It's going to go awfully, I'm sure. Like most things I do, to be fair, but never mind. So who have we got in the chat room? We are joined by Darth Plagueis, who says, I miss your Toy Dalek series. Well, they're right there. They're at the back. Is that enough? No? I promise I'll make something at some point. I know I keep saying that, but I do mean it. I've got scripts and everything. Who else have we got? We've got Darth Raven. Justin. Hello, Justin. Darren AF is here, so I assume that means both of my parents are watching. Welcome. The Monster of Monsters says hello. Five Nights at Freddy's Vision says hello. Dr. S Prime is here. Sam B is here. Yes, nice jumper, Matt. Thank you very much. When are you going to do another Ask a Dalek episode? At some point. That's all I can say, to be honest with you. Right. So we're also joined by my very own Silver Lady, who, as you can see, is ready for Christmas. Which is always a good start.
I haven't seen her running.
You haven't?
I
No.
haven't seen her running yet, Matt.
You simply must come round, because I actually have some tracks screwed down in the garden now. So when it's safe for us to all mingle together again, you must come round for a visit and a play.
We've got Team B's Will Jarman in the comments there.
Oh, hello, Will! Nice to see you! And we've just been joined by Eurostar Lover 009. Welcome. Gosh, there's quite a few of you, actually. I'm impressed. We're also live on Twitch, by the way, as well. I have got the Twitch chat room open, but I don't think anyone's watching there yet. But if you are watching this back on Twitch, welcome. And to anyone who is watching this in the future, I hope you enjoy the show. And can you send someone back in a time machine to let us know when this COVID nonsense is going to be over with, please? Cheers. Did I get the Chase Dalek figures? No, I did not, because I'm poor now and have no money. Yes, Will Jarman was also one of the participants. Will, I forget, were you...
He was Team B with
Team
me.
B with Derry, yes, okay. So, I'm running out of things.
Head, Matt.
Yes, that's right. I remember. Yes, he was also inflicted with my snoring. Bless him. For which I apologise. Dear, oh dear. You should get a Santa hat on it. Yes, I should. I've also got on here. I'll hold this up to the camera so you can all see. I've just broken it, but never mind. Let me switch back to the studio camera for a second. That is a headboard with biggest little railway in the world on it. The focus isn't really doing what I want it to do. Yes, I know. What can I say? It's yeah. I wanted that to be done because I've got also one of the coaches. I've jazzed mine up a bit with a teak wood stain and a white roof. But this is one of the coaches that you'll see in the show. Silver Lady departs from Fort William with. So, yes, they're both there because reasons, and we'll talk about the tech ins and outs if people are interested in that sort of thing. So we'll, yeah.
The show actually covers the technology of the locomotive reasonably well across the
series.
It does,
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Absolutely. Les Cliff joins us in the chat room as well. Les, also one of the participants on the team, a team seer. Nice to see you, Les.
Hi, Les.
Okay, what time are we? We've got about 3 minutes to go until 7 o'clock. So 7 o'clock, if you're all ready to go, we'll press play. And of course, if you are watching this in the future on playback, you can just skip forward and start playing it whenever you like.
What a great time to be alive. The future.
I sure hope it's better than the present. That's all I can say. Anyway, flashbacks to the snoring. Sorry, Will.
Can Les Cliff send you a message to say how he is these days?
Yes, please do, Les. That would be great. I've got the whole series on Plex, so I'll be watching there, says Darren. Excellent. BLR was interesting because a few YouTubers I'm a fan of were on, such as Matt, Jennifer Kirk, Simon A.C. Martin. Very fun to see. You may be excited to see that at least one of those people will be coming up in a future stream. I shall say no more for now. But yes, I'm still trying to...
I believe that person might still even be watching the stream later today, because I know Lawrence was planning to.
Yes, Lawrence definitely was planning to, and Lawrence is one of the people who I have invited. I've invited several people along. We're still trying to work out dates and things, so I've not finalised some stuff yet. So I'm holding off announcing anything officially until I've sort of drilled down the details. So yes.
Yeah, there we go. Not lobby, retirement beckons.
Oh,
from Les there.
Well, you know, I mean, if anyone has worked hard and under their retirement, I think it's Les. So the guy is a legend. Do you know what? He was such a little worker bee on the show. Really, you would see him just running back and forth with just armfuls of track constantly. I don't think his feet ever touched the ground for more than a few seconds.
And he was remarkably upbeat in some of the mornings. I remember there's like certainly at the second campsite, there were like loads of people around dead-eyed, and there's Les just there, chippy as ever, going, "Come on, let's go." And I wasn't even on his team. It was infectious.
No, I know. No, I'll tell you what. Les really did get us through some really tough days, and I'm sure you will see some of those tough days because he just always had a smile on his face. He took everything in his stride. You know, great guy, great guy. Have we buttered you up enough, Les? Oh dear, 35 years working. Goodness, yeah. Hope Lawrence can come. Lawrence is a very pleasant and kind guy. I did Zoom conversation with him a few weeks ago for a virtual railway exhibition. He interviewed me about, among other things, Tea Time with Matt and my YouTube channel, and the Garden Railway and various other stuff. We had a lovely little chat. So yeah, it will be great to see him again. Okay. Yeah, no, I always thought it was criminal, Les, the small amount of airtime you got. It's so daft.
Well, yeah, but there were like how many people there, and all of them were picked out with stories and backgrounds and all the rest.
Yeah, it surprised me that they didn't pick out more people, because I think there were a few people who got coverage sort of across the episodes. There were a few who kind of got one or two, and yeah,
a story arc.
Yes, exactly. You know, it's yeah. We'll go into nitty gritty all about it a bit later on. So, is there anyone who is unsure about what we're doing regarding playing the episodes? Because if you're all ready, we're going to start in a moment. How come I've went on such a large break from uploading on this channel? Various reasons. Work being one of them.
It's 2020. Just accept that as a rule at this point.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. It's difficult to get motivated to make films when the world is crashing down around your ears. You know, I made one video this year. What more do you want? Yeah. Anyway, right. So unless
try to organise this.
Yes, absolutely.
Before you start,
Yep.
is there going to be a problem with Derry and I watching this with sound on our TVs or whatever?
The only thing I would say is just try and keep the volume a little bit low if you can. If don't worry too much, because I can sort of do stuff with faders and what have you, but
you can just mute us entirely.
Exactly, you know, which although it would rather negate the point of you being here, but we'll work something out. It'll be fine. Right, so if everybody is ready, are we both ready, guys?
Gladiators ready.
Right. Okay. Going in 3, 2, 1. Press play.
Damn it, I had pictured Dick. Oh, well.
Yeah, I can just hear a little bit in the background, but that's not too much of an issue, I suspect. I really do adore this opening music, I have to say.
Oh yeah, they were on point with the musician. It's probably why they cost so much to do the whole series.
I'll say this, I have many criticisms of the programme as it was broadcast. One criticism I cannot fault, one thing I can't criticise rather, the cinematography is fantastic, the score is beautiful, and it just showcases Scotland beautifully. It is marvellous.
Well, I mean, the drone photographer they had doing it really was a professional guy. He went along with Team B for I think a day or so, and he did some stunning shots.
A Silver Lady getting revealed to begin with there. There's Paul, Team C leader. I miss Paul so much.
This is so well in sync for me that I can just hear it coming over at the same time as it's going on mine, so I'm just going to mute mine entirely.
Fair play. What I did love, and this section does show this wonderfully, that just how many members of the public just turned up along the route to watch the train, just, you know, without really knowing what was going on. It just showcases the wonderful thing about this hobby. You know, people see a train, they flock to it. It's marvellous.
Well, this was the really interesting thing for Team B when we were going along, was that there was an American walking the Great Glen Way at the same time, And I think we almost ran into him almost every day because we'd be jumped forward a bit. And then he'd kind of walk to catch up with us. And then we talked for a bit and then we could continue. He was a fascinating chap. I never got his name, but he walked away with a piece of track at the end of it.
I don't blame him. There we go. And we are in
the beautifully scenic core pack.
Yes. It's a stunning place, but the town is tiny. There's nothing there.
Well, I think it's got a co-op, a pub, a hotel, and I think, and a train station. That was it.
Yeah, that's about it. And a community centre where we did our health and safety briefing, of course.
Yes, but that's just behind the co-op, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's between the co-op and the train station.
Now, a bit of history for you here, because the show kind of glosses over this, I think for obvious reasons, because it's much more interesting to think, we're doing something the Victorians failed to do. The fact is, it wasn't engineering that let down the railway from Fort William to Inverness. The problem was A, money, and B, parliamentary disagreements, basically, because there was already the line running up through Aviemore to Inverness, and it was something to do with competition and the money running out and various things, but that doesn't sound as interesting. So, but they did actually complete much of the route all the way out to Fort Augustus, and you can still see in Fort Augustus itself the pillars of the bridge that carried the railway over the river.
The other interesting bit about it was that the line, they'd only just completed the Caledonian Canal before the railway was started.
Yeah.
There was a strong argument which kind of said there's no point doing the unloading and reloading and all the rest for that railway line. Just put it all on the boats.
No, of course.
So,
I mean, once you've plunged all that money into a project that's now finished, there's no point duplicating the workload. So,
yeah.
But again, from a television point of view, that doesn't sound as interesting as the Victorians couldn't do it. So I get why they did that.
Yeah.
I love this bit at the Model Railway exhibition as well. It's one of those things that I think, among several things that they filmed, some of which didn't make the cut, including a visit to Roundhouse Engineering. But I'm really glad this is there, because it's got... it perfectly sums up the incredulity of some of the hobby in what they were trying to do.
Interestingly, I found going with modelers... I used to go to the Missenden weekends, and there was an awful lot of hostility towards Biggest Little Railway.
Absolutely, and I don't think it's deserved at all. The thing is, this was never meant to be a model railway, and I think that's the problem. People look at it and they think, oh, they're trying to build a model railway, oh, the track's wrong. We're not building a model railway in this programme. What we are building is a miniature railway, so we're challenging real engineering challenges on a small scale. So it's not like we're building a model railway all the way from Fort William to Inverness. What we're building is an actual railway, just a very small one. And
I think a lot of people just miss the point.
Yeah. Precisely. And frankly, we get onto the track in a minute, because I think they do a bit about why it's good. But the track is brilliant. It solves a number of technical problems beautifully. Now, it wasn't a perfect design, admittedly, and I think it was originally designed for an O-gauge locomotive rather than a SM32 one.
I believe their test model was an O-scale Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, there's photos of it floating around the internet. There's news stories where they say they're looking for volunteers, sort of in early. When did we film it? 2017. And that's the picture they use. So
it's H was the one that designed all the track.
Yes. And we'll see him in a minute.
Yeah. It's quite fun for me, because I actually met H years before doing Biggest Little Railway. I just didn't know.
Oh, really?
And all through Biggest Little Railway, I was like, I've seen him before. It must just be someone who's very similar. And it was only afterwards I was like, no, it turns out he does. He owns a steam traction engine and goes to all these steam rallies.
There's this brilliant bit here. You can see they're all in this little wooden room. This was a hotel in central London. I remember this very fondly, because it was when I met you, Dick, and Paul as well. Yes. For the first time, before we even knew that we were going to be on the programme.
What the hell was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was there. Supposedly I met several people there, but I was kind of like, I can't remember those ones.
I struggled with that. I've just seen Andy there from Team C just going leader.
Yeah.
I admire his gumption. Here we are. This is several people arriving at Inverness. I think Dick, you and I were in the group.
So 4 of us arrived by train because we refused to go on the aeroplane, and we went all the way to Inverness. And it was a horrible train journey, and then we got bussed all the way up to the airport just to go and have that moment where we weren't even shown. We're like,
amazing.
Why didn't we just go straight there?
Bren, welcome. I've just spotted you're here.
I've got to say, looking at this brings back the cold.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever go on another picnic in the whole of my life. What's left of it?
Yeah. The year after Biggest Ever Railway, I was invited to do a canoe tour going up the Great Glenway, up the canal. And I declined very politely.
This beautiful beach we're at the moment, this was behind, kind of at the back of our first campsite, looking out over the loch. It was a beautiful, beautiful place. And it's kind of disappointing because we woke up to a beautiful view of the mountains and the loch, and you could see Ben Nevis on a beautiful clear morning, and then the campsites just got progressively more terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself, actually. No, you're right. They got worse. No, but that first day we had loads of shots and scenes, and I had a really beautiful hat. In fact, no, it wasn't really beautiful. I've got it here. It's this little sucker. They were doing this whole sunset thing, and this sucker blew off my head into the water, and I just lost it. That was it, gone.
Oh,
2
gutted.
years later, I get a message from a canoeing company in Corpac.
Oh, no way.
Goes, a friend of yours said that apparently I've got your hat, and he sent me a picture, and that's why I've got it back now.
That is amazing.
They came back with it and gave it to me. But for the series, it meant I had no hat, and with a 32-inch head and with an average size of 22-inch on the hats we had, I just had to have this scarf instead. So after the first episode, whenever you see me, I've got this scarf wrapped around my head.
Beautiful. I do, in fact, enjoy very much Dick, kind of giving, like Mark. So it's described as half the length of the US, half the length of the Trans-Siberian Railway in scale. And yeah, you're not inspiring confidence, Dick. Come on. There's Silver Lady in her actual out of the factory paint job. She does not look like that for very long.
What a lovely brass dome.
I know. Where is it? Because it didn't come back with her.
I think the canal's been dredged at this point, so it's probably now in concrete.
Probably. Yes, team leaders. Lawrence here. Hopefully we'll be seeing him in a future show, but lovely. Charlie here, your team leader, Derek.
Yep.
Paul, of course. And Jenny Kirk.
There's me in the background, yay. The short time I had one of the other hats on.
Justin's got a question. What was the food and accommodation like, i.e. grub and tents? I'm going to let you guys take this.
So, 2 words, square sausage is enough to send chills up any BLR member's spine.
Oh, lawn sausage, man. Beautiful.
It was good for the novelty the first day. For the next 15 or so, it was torture. And the worst bit was when I got home, the shop that I was working at bought it on range and gave us all packs of lawn sausage going, do you think you could review it so you could sell it better? And I was there going, no, I've had too much of this stuff.
Martin there, hell of a character, lovely guy.
I camped with him the whole time. He was actually amazing.
Yeah. I I preface this with the fact that this might cause some disagreements with former BLR members. They're presenting it like, you know, everyone's team had various challenges and Team B had the hardest one. And it's played later like our team, Team C, isn't very good. Who's that ugly mug in the life jacket?
Which one? They're all in life jackets.
Good point.
But, I mean, the Team B challenge was, I wouldn't say it was the hardest one. It was just the one which, it's the problem is it looks a lot easier than it really is. And the main problem with it all was pretty much paranoia.
Yeah.
We started, everyone has this idea that, you know, the TV company, they'd be like someone paid to cause dissent to create, stir up a team. And there wasn't. It's just dynamics of how people are put together.
There was that wonderful suggestion going around the camp of who was the plant in each team.
Who was the plant? Yeah.
The fact is, we didn't need a plant. We were all falling apart quite naturally. So...
Yeah. But for that first
Speak for
episode,
yourself.
Well, you were quite literally falling apart, Dick. So I don't think you can talk.
yeah.
We'll get to
Yes.
that.
In a future episode.
For the first,
This one.
This one, yeah.
yeah. But for the first,
This is me
kind
shaking Paul's hand. I was delighted when my name was called for Paul's team because, like I said, I met him at the sort of initial audition day down in London, and we just got on like a house on fire. I was thrilled he was the team leader, and I was thrilled he was the one who'd be leading the team. So I'm just going to pause that there because we've come to the first ad break. And we'll give everyone a couple of minutes to catch up. I think if we give it about 3 minutes, everyone should have then finished the adverts. So, yes. Hopefully.
To carry on answering the question about the accommodation, those mats they provided, which they thought were going to be nice and comfortable to sleep on, were chronic. I was so uncomfortable.
They were really not nice, and they actually
No, they weren't.
They did provide us, I think, with air mattresses a little further into the project, didn't they?
They certainly provided me with one.
Yes.
I'm very grateful too.
Eurostar Lover, when currently at 13 minutes and 46 seconds. That's the beginning of part 2.
Great. Now the interesting one, again, being with Martin. He, of course, had his legendary double airbed mattress.
Yes.
Which took up the entire little tent area that he was in. But his trick there, as is great advice as it turns out, is it's a 14-day event.
Yeah.
The return period at Amazon is 14 days. So he got it on the first day, took it back on the last day.
No. It's yeah, it's one of those things where I don't think any of us realised quite how harsh it was going to be. I mean, the accommodation was fine. You know, I just think it was we didn't quite realise. First night, sleeping in a tent is a novelty. You know, it's exciting. You know, I'd done camping sort of when I was much younger, but I hadn't really done so in my adult life. So it was a novelty from that point of view. I'm sure it was the same for many people.
Hand on heart, I'm going to say I cheated here. For the second for the two middle campsites, I actually had a friend who was yachting up the canal.
Brilliant.
So for quite a lot of my provisions and stuff, where everyone else was moaning, I was just sneaking off in the dark and staying in his yacht.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah, I know. It's safe. It's several years away, and the only person who can kill me in here is Alex. So.
Justin's raised a good point about Team C. We will get to that because I think that comes up in episode 2. And I have quite the rant about it. I think everyone should have caught up with the adverts now. So if we're ready, folks...
No, my adverts aren't yet.
Oh, your adverts aren't done yet. Okay, well, let us know when they're done and we'll go from there then.
I'm just going to say, the portrayal of being paranoid isn't to do with the food. That was a lot of... There was genuine concerns about a mysterious someone being set up to bring the team down. There was a level of paranoia in all the teams.
Yeah,
but we got over it.
Yes, yeah, I think it's natural to be quite mistrustful of television, and certainly I was to a degree because that's sorry, wordplay there. To a degree, it was worse for me because I have a degree in television production. That's not a deliberate pun, I promise. So I kind of know the kind of tricks people pull behind the scenes on reality television. So I was kind of prepared for it, and I suspect that the production team probably had a few things in mind that they wanted to do to try and create tension, and ended up not needing to do it because it was just naturally quite tense anyway. So, yeah, still another minute of ads. Okay, fair enough. It would have been nice to run the event in the other direction, Will. I kind of agree, but on the other hand, I think that ending outside... I'm going to ruin the whole show for everybody now. The ending outside Inverness Castle, which is where the line stopped, it's quite poignant.
Alert, it went out several years ago now. You're not exactly going to... If you missed it, then...
Bruce Willis is a ghost.
Oh, there we go. Back up for me.
Okay, right. I would say being mistrustful of television and broadcasting companies is fair and probably wise until proven otherwise. To be fair to Love Productions, I don't.
Are we pressing the button to play again, or what?
We will be in just a second. I think. Have we caught up with the ads, Derry?
Mine's just finished.
Okay.
But did you want to finish your point?
Yeah, let me finish what I was going to say. The guys from Love were all really, really nice, bar one or two exceptions. But I think people know who I'm talking about who are on the project. I won't name names. But I don't think there was any malice, certainly from the producers' side of things. I think they were trying to make an interesting program. They had some ideas. Things didn't go quite the way they were supposed to, and they ended up with, I think, something better for it. But that's just my view. Anyway, right, if we're all ready, we are pressing play again in 3, 2, 1.
I just gotta hope it syncs them so I get the sound right.
Lawrence is a very good motivator, I have to say. That's the one thing I took away from watching the programme afterwards.
I've locked up.
You've locked up? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Think we're just you'll catch up with us, Dick, but we've just seen you on a quad bike.
Majestic as always.
Extremely. Here we are, Team C. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I feel like Team C are portrayed as the clowns of the project. I don't think that's fair. This first day, we were doing it methodical. We were looking at the track. We were trying to get it right.
It for me, please?
Yeah. There were...
Yeah, I feel like the portrayal is unfair. I think Paul comes across quite badly, certainly in episode 1, and I don't think that's fair at all. I think
it was kind of hard because it was the teams are still bedding in with each other as it were. They're still getting to know how each other would work.
Yeah.
I do remember though. Hard to say it, but Team B have very hard memories of that first day being we did all our bit somehow.
Yeah.
And then we were told, okay, then go on and finish off all their work because H has blown a fuse. So.
Yeah, because the thing is, we spent a good hour sort of starting to lay. We were starting to prepare curves. We'll get onto curve track in the show in a minute, and it was tough. And I mean, certainly we had. I'll talk about what this is actually about in a minute, but we had a few issues, certainly with laying the track. We were slow to get going, but then once we actually got into the swing of it, we were fine. At one point, we were told by the production team that, you finish at 6 o'clock and go back to the minibus. So we did that, and were then ordered off the minibus and told to carry on. So, it's...
Yeah, my weird memory of the end of that first day was that you guys had just all disappeared.
Yeah.
I think it was a mixture of Team B and Team A were left on the bit toward one end of your lot, just relaying a load of the track. And sorting out a bit around a lay-by when a load of guys on jet skis just flew by because they were on the canal. And it was just sort of like, okay. But we had to stop because people on the boats were complaining about the noise of the power tools.
Brilliant.
And we're like, but those guys are literally just doing water donuts on jet skis, and we're the ones that get the flack. Okay.
We've just talked about the track. Now the track is I've got a piece of it here. It's extruded PVC, and it's got a rubber coating on the top here that you can see, which is basically to give the steam engine more grip. So,
Matt, I'm sorry to trouble you, but I've had a technical issue and I've had to restart and I'm fast forwarding.
Okay.
Whereabouts are you?
We're about 17 minutes. Just starting to talk about curves.
I can't time what's happening.
Okay. At the moment, Paul is standing in front of a black box.
Oh,
right.
black box.
Oh, yes.
This is Dick's. Yeah. It's a black one. Dick, they're king of state in the bleeding obvious, I think.
Yeah, I think that I remember that same statement because it was just as I'd been rushed on by my team. Basically, it was finishing off the last bit, so a few members weren't needed. So we'd gone up to help you build curves, and that was it was just as we got there, and it was the sort of like, oh no, we're working with this sort of team where it's a black box.
Yeah,
it's okay. We'll just get on over here and do the jigging and stuff ourselves. We'll just leave you to your own problems. Yeah.
I really like this bit with Paul. I like all of the team leader intros, but this bit with Paul I really like. That's possibly because I really like him. But and you know, he's one of my best friends. But it's really nice, and I particularly love the bit with his mum embarrassing him. That's just so human. I love it. The bloody curve template. Right, these were useless. They were. I mean, perfect bit of design, you know, but in practice, rubbish. We ended up not using these on sort of much of the last bit. I don't know about your team, Derry, but certainly...
No. See, your one was useless. Our one was great, and you ended up taking ours afterward.
Did we?
When we'd worked out our own method of doing it.
Fantastic.
Which is why we'd gone up to help you do curves, because H had seen us and was going, well, what's their problem then? If you can build curves.
The problem was the template was wrong.
Yeah.
Quite simply, it was awful.
Yeah.
Oh, but the curves were a pain to manufacture, and I think certainly for great sections of around day 3 and 4, we gave up entirely. We got these little... I've got one here, actually. It's a slightly smaller thing. Sorry, it's a clattering of screwdriver pieces. It's called a mitre box. And what we did was we put the straight bits of track in here, and then we cut them at angles and kind of bodged curves together. And that actually worked really well.
Oh, you actually used them... You actually... Oh, we would just cut a slot out to the side and then just bend it on itself.
Ah, see, no, we went for the engineering problem rather than the Bodgett and Leggett problem. Or solution, not problem. That's what I meant.
See, our Bodgett and Leggett problem worked and was quite fast.
Ours was not so fast, admittedly.
Of course, this was just about the time I ended up in a ditch.
Yes.
Having been hit by a minibus.
Yeah, tell us this story, Dick. This is great fun. Well, not fun, obviously, but...
I was walking alongside the canal. I don't know where I was going there. I was going to fetch something. And the minibus decided that he didn't really want me on the road. I got this thump in the side, huge thump in the side, and spun round, ended up in the ditch. But the thing that really got me, this is TV at its best. I was lying face down in nettles. I was in a lot of pain from being hit by a moving vehicle. And a voice behind me was saying, "Are you all right, Dick? Are you all right, Dick?" And I turned round, and there was the cameraman and Bal, the guy with the microphone boom, filming me lying in a ditch. It didn't make the final cut. And I was very
quite glad.
About that.
Well, to be honest, I'm quite glad of that because it wasn't anyone's finest hour. I have to admit. There's a nice bit here about train ferries, by the way, which, in theory, is a brilliant solution to a problem that. Well, I mean, actually, a problem that the production company kind of made up. But
no, this is actually a problem. Network Rail had specifically said we weren't allowed to run our narrow gauge.
Okay, right, okay, well that makes more sense then. So, yeah. lost my train of thought there.
We were actually shown a proper Network Rail notice saying...
Oh, okay. Yeah,
no.
Fair enough. No. And I mean, that does make sense, to be fair, because the last thing you want is people putting stuff on a active railway line, so fair enough.
Even if it's a comparatively minor one.
Yes. But the what we're doing here with the train ferry is a really good solution in theory. In execution, you'll see. It's
It was an interesting one, and it was kind of there are lots of problems with it. It's a good one.
Yeah, we'll get on to that. I really like the look of Charlie's railway there. It's called Brokeback. It's a play on Brokeback Mountain, isn't it? They do show it in a minute, I think. But it's a really impressive setup, really.
Well, he puts a lot of... He really enjoys what he does and puts a lot of time and energy into it.
I really like that story as well, that he had no interest in model railways when he was first bought a length of track and a loco, and then got into it because of his wife and son playing with it.
It's how it always starts.
Yeah. Right, I suspect you've got a few things to say about this bit, Derry. So talk us through this bit.
First of all, those shoes are so last year.
Not what I was going for, but do continue.
and that life jacket just is so unflattering. But yeah, oh god, the stories about this one. So this particular bit with Charlie leading me away, I didn't get to watch the first episode. I was away at work at the time. My next door neighbour watched it and came to me in the shop after it had finished airing and said, "If that Charlie says anything to you like that again, I'll nail him one in the face." She's 93. She walks with a Zimmer frame.
Oh dear. No, it's not really covered there, but from what I gather, your concern there was that the pontoon they were sort of laying the track down onto wasn't very steady.
Well, these pontoons are kind of interesting because they look like they're rock solid.
Yeah.
But actually, they're huge floating pieces of concrete. That one that we were on, when you stood on the bridge, it would tip. And it would tip by about 4 inches on the water side. So the original idea had been, it's going to be a roll-on, roll-off kind of... literally, the boat would just roll on and then they just roll the engine in.
Yeah.
And it was like, you can't do that when your little jetty thing is bouncing.
Yeah. And then I think your suggestion in the programme there is you run the track down onto the rocks instead, but that I suspect had its own set of problems.
Yeah. So me and Will Jarman, as he put down in the messenger bit, we made this slalom of track which curves its way down. And even as we were doing that was doing all sorts of its own crazy things as the pontoon was floating. It was really interesting. But in the end, that's what led to the idea that is eventually come up with, is because that's the only way to properly make it work. But yeah, the track we laid was a work of art to work around all that. I think the sad thing is for me and Will is that I think they get rid of the bit of track that we laid at the very end.
No! Oh, gutted.
But still, nailed it. The other bit is that we were trying to do all this without the boat.
Yeah, which again has its own issues, and we'll get to that. But
90% of a project involving a boat is the boat.
Yeah, like I say, I don't want to say too much because there is a natural point for us to talk about this, but there are issues. This special build project, I've got to say, I admire the special build team. They're lucky sods. They got to work on all the interesting stuff. The truss bridge they built was the first special build project I came across because I joined the train team literally about half a mile before that bridge. And we had great fun, sat there getting Silver Lady ready so she wouldn't run out of steam part way across. And I think we were terrified she was either A, going to run out of steam halfway along, or B, going to fall off. But yeah, it was probably fine. I don't know. We'll find out. It was fine. Yeah, here we are. Here's my cameo. I'm talking about the inside wheel. What I meant to say was the inside of the wheel. What happened there was there were 2 straight pieces of track. And again, this is partly why progress stalled. We had this little test truck. It's an O-gauge truck. And we're pushing it along the track. And we found that at the join, it was coming off the track. So we were looking at this thinking, well, what's gone wrong here? We actually phoned the production company who put us on with catering. I said, we don't know what the problem is, but we've got this test truck, which is the right gauge, but it's just falling off at the join. I don't know what the issue is. It turned out we had put the fish plate in the wrong way round.
Yeah, you're lifting up the flanges.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So kind of, I've got one of the fish plates actually. So you can see here, that slots into the track. When it's this way up, it kind of fits in quite nicely, but you put it that way up, it pushes the rails out. So that was what was causing the problem. But again, we hadn't really had much sort of FaceTime with the track at this point, so we were still learning as we went, and I think that's another ad break. So we will pause there for the moment.
Whereabouts are you, please?
We have just got onto part 2, so there's a shot over the lock, and the show logo's just come up. So you should be getting to it in a minute.
Yeah, I don't know, right? It's crumbs.
The one interesting thing I had about your little Lima O-gauge truck was that whenever it appeared through the series, every time I ended up seeing it, it was in worse and worse condition.
That's kind of a theme about all of the rolling stock we used throughout the project. Everyone knows about Silver Lady looking beaten up. The coach she leaves Inverness with, leaves Fort William with, she does not make it to Inverness with it. And we still don't know where that coach ended up. Because it didn't go back to Paul who built it. So it's entirely possible that it's just bobbing around the canal somewhere.
No, I know its wheels will be are at the bottom of the lock.
We'll get to that.
Because I took them and threw them.
Oh.
No, I didn't. Kidding.
Oh, dear.
But no, I don't know what happened to it. I saw it surface a bit later with the build team.
They used it for a couple of things, didn't they?
They were using it to test some of if they didn't have a Silver Lady to use for testing things, they had that around. And it also resurfaced when they were using they were testing other locomotives to try and aid Silver Lady. And one of the problems was that a lot of battery electrics need battery. Yeah. And they were just re-gearing all these things to... Oh, there's the ads ended for me.
Excellent. Okay, we'll give it a minute or two and then we'll resume.
Yeah. But, it was cut up a bit and then reused to keep additional batteries to give the battery electrics some extra lifespan.
Which again wasn't used. They ended up, I think, just using the twin for the project you're talking about. I think that's covered possibly in episode 2 or 3, but we will talk about that when we get there. How are we doing, Dick?
At the moment, I've got a picture of Dick's back pointing out over a lake.
Pointing out over a lake?
Oh, water. I can't see what it is.
Okay. I'm not sure where that is.
Okay.
What's he wearing? Like a green coat?
Blue shirt.
Blue shirt. Okay, so that's possibly you're part way into where we are.
Oh, yes. This is a great game. Guess where in the episode you are.
Guess where we are in the episode.
Right, there's 3 people kneeling on a screwing track down.
Oh, they're talking about curved and straight sections.
Yes.
If you want to pause it there, Dick, we'll resume and I'll tell you when to press play. Does that sound good? All right, then.
This is Dick in his blue shirt.
Right, okay.
What day is this?
I think the one we're looking... If it's where I think you are, this is still day 1.
Okay.
Yeah, the first episode is all day 1 because day 2 is when the rain sets in and they lost all the footage. Oh, sorry, no, that was just my team. Yeah, the camera broke on day 2 for Team B.
I'm just timing out someone on Twitch, so we'll We'll get rid of that, I think.
He's a very naughty boy.
He's a very naughty boy. Yeah, I can't seem to clear that from the from this, annoyingly. I wonder if I can refresh it. Hold on. Refresh. Yeah, that works. There we are.
Yeah, Will Jarman said that was the only curve track we did. Yeah, pretty much, Will. That was almost every team had agreed that the curve track was pretty much broken at that point. And yeah, most of it we did from there was just straight.
Yeah, pretty much. Right, okay, so if everyone is ready... Are we ready, Derek? Right,
Yep.
In 3, 2, 1.
Yep, Dick in the blue shirt.
Yeah, here we go. Yep. No, you haven't. Here we are. Press play, Dick. Yeah, you can see they're talking about the joins between the curve and the straight track. It was very much a budget job, that really, wasn't it? There wasn't really unlike the connectors, which connected the straight sections together beautifully and everything worked lovely.
I think one of the problems was nobody had allowed the fact that on the sides of the path is where we had to put our track.
Yeah.
It was always tilted to one side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
No one
because
had thought of
when you build a
camera,
path, it kind of bows down, doesn't it? Because you get the
right.
bulk of the material in the middle. So Hadrian, and I have to say, I didn't really speak to him much off camera. My experience of him on camera was not great. But Hadrian, I think, was the de facto villain of the piece, and Derry, I think you'll back me up here. I don't necessarily think that's reflective of his genuine personality.
No, it's not. And knowing H outside of the show, he was kind of really stressed by this because the show he'd been told they were doing is completely different to what it ended up as.
Yeah.
And he'd done loads of work to kind of make the show, and then it didn't come through. It wasn't kind of coming through. The TV company wasn't being cooperative. And he was being left with a lot of stuff which he was being asked to do, but being told he couldn't do. So, yeah, he was really stressed out, and that was kind of coming out on us then. I think he's a really great guy.
I'm sure, like I say, my interaction with him sort of off camera and, sort of one-on-one was quite minimal, but... they've kind of cherry-picked all of the stuff to make him come across as this real... for want of a better word, arsehole.
Yeah.
So, which again, don't think necessarily fair, but all shows need a villain, don't they? So,
but as they would say, is that they don't film what isn't put in front of the camera.
No, precisely.
But at the same time, they don't show their own production thing, which is putting all the pressure onto H.
This bit confuses me because a minute or two ago, Dick said we need a nice steady thing for the Loco to travel on. Here is the team preparing a nice steady thing for the Loco to run along and being told we don't need perfection, we need 80% perfection in 20% of the time.
That.
Yeah. It's make your mind
really
up.
Annoyed me.
And I think the thing is, it's sort of it's got to be nice and level. The thing is, by the end, just bang it down. It's we don't care if it falls off, it falls off.
This is the thing that we kind of learn about the Silver Lady, though, as well, is that when we begin, we're like, this is a something we all prize. We all want to have a Silver Lady.
Yeah.
By the end of it, it's like this thing will just go anywhere.
Yeah.
Look at it.
It's honestly
that a 9-inch gap in the rails.
You cannot have a better advert for Roundhouse Engineering apart from the fact that at no point during the programme do they mention Roundhouse Engineering, which is really annoying.
I think they do. I think they do in the third episode. I think they do a little discussion thing about the lady in its overhaul.
Now, this annoyed me as well. They've just shown a shot that says there's a whole section of Paul's track that hasn't been connected up. Yes, because we're dropping it down and joining it together, like we've been told to, because we're not getting very far very quickly. And now we're on camera being bullied by Dick Strawbridge.
This This one is kind of not your... Well, it is kind of a mixture of your fault and not your fault.
Yeah.
By this point, certainly A team and B team had both got their own different methods, which have actually been quite quick about.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, all the track we'd laid up till that point was beautifully joined together. It just wasn't being done quickly.
Yeah.
And that was the issue. We were being very methodical about it, and that was the issue. We needed to be going more quickly. You know, I think if we were to go back and do it again now, it'd be right, bang it down, have someone along behind joining it up, which is what we ended up doing.
If you went back and done it now, you'd have 2 weeks of knowledge of how to lay black
exactly, which wouldn't be as much fun, admittedly, but.
And also you wouldn't still if we all went back and did it now, we also wouldn't have certain health and safety guidance about the correct way to lay track.
Yeah, we had a day's worth of health and safety briefing, didn't we? And I think the phrase of that was "face the danger." You should always be facing the danger. Right. So, for instance, say you're sat by a canal, laying track on a very thin path, and there is a 15-foot drop down the other side of the path because the canal's up on an embankment. This actually happened in a few places. Which danger should we be facing, health and safety person?
I've just started day 2.
Yeah, I think we're on day 2 now as well.
Yeah, we're on day 2 too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Breakfast.
There is that beautiful view off the beach of us... Oh, no, sorry, that's the end of day 1. Beautiful view up the beach there. And we've now got this lovely view over the lock there, and some eggs and sausages. There's that lovely square sausage you love so much, Derry.
Yeah. I can feel my stomach churning already.
I liked it.
Lawn sausage is great. There's me trying to suss out there where we're going today, which was basically could literally be anywhere. Day 2, we spent a good hour driving around Scotland trying to find our starting point.
Oh yeah. Well,
do you remember that, Dick?
I do indeed. I do indeed.
This is one that Team B ran into sometime toward the end of the first week. It turned out that while we were having all the pressure, the runners who were supposed to be, measuring ahead of us and laying out and working out where we're all supposed to be, were just doing that on the fly as we went along. And on one day, we'd lost all the guide points where we were going. So we just went for where we knew roughly where we should be going. And we'd followed this one footpath which cut like half a mile out of the route. And we ended up ahead of the person who's putting out the cones.
Fantastic.
And she was there going, "What are you doing?" And we were like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm measuring it because I've got to lay out the cones after so many..." And they're going, "Yes, but those are our cones."
We've now jumped forward to day 3 for some reason. Day 2 doesn't really get a look in.
Yeah. See, you'd have really loved our runner who was just flashed on with me and Martin. He was a real Whovian.
Oh, brilliant!
Doctor Who vests all the time, shirts all the time, because the TV company don't want to relicense half of this stuff. So a load of the runners would intentionally be wearing this stuff so they wouldn't end up on shot. And I don't know if you noticed it, but Claire Barrett does the same.
Yeah.
She wears, I think...
There's that wagon again, being thrown down a gradient.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the other things, yeah. But no, Claire Barrett wears, I think in different points, wears... what is it? Legend of Zelda, Star Wars, and various other bits and pieces. And it's all very carefully hidden at different points.
Yeah. I think all of those shots we've just seen of Team C going down the hill, I'm pretty sure that actually was day 2. So, which makes it all the more confusing. They've just suddenly jumped to day 3. But yeah, I think
that was day 2, because that was when we were coming off the canal going up into the hills and you were already in the hills.
That's right.
That was day 2.
I think the day 1 certainly was the best weather we had. It just it kind of went from that to tipping it down with rain on day 2, and it didn't improve much through the rest until the last day, I think.
First
really,
day and
didn't
last
it? Yeah.
day, that was it.
Yeah. Apart from that, it was all rain, midges. They're just laying the bridge out now, which is neat.
Yes.
I love the little windmill that they've just chosen to illustrate. Wind is a major factor in bridge design. Like, we don't know what wind looks like.
Well, I'm sorry. How would you illustrate that it's slightly windy there?
Any shot from the previous few seconds, basically. They're about to drop this in the canal, if I recall correctly.
Spoilers.
Bruce Willis is a ghost. The Tay Bridge disaster. Yeah, I'm glad this got a mention because it was one of the. It's a massive engineering cock up, and I think it's wrongly blamed on the bridge designer a lot. I think it was.
I mean, he didn't do. To be fair, and it's not. He does. One of his other bridges does also collapse.
Yeah.
Following that, which
you think he'd have learned after the first one to maybe, go back and fix the second one, but no.
It's when you're going, oh, it's fine. It might not have been the designer. There is a little bit of evidence to say.
Okay, I'll take that. Fair enough. They have just said actually, yeah, durability was sacrificed in order to save money, and I think that is the villain of most most railway infrastructure from the Victorian era, where there has then been an accident. Someone did something to save time or to save money, and it resulted in lots of people dying. Again, yes. This was the days before health and safety was really a thing, and this is precisely why we now have to have a day-long safety briefing and be told to face the danger with our high-visibility jackets and life jackets when we're about a mile from the nearest waterway.
Yeah.
I think it's a shame that they didn't actually include any of those any parts of the training day.
No, because there were some really neat, nice little bits from that day, weren't there?
There were
yeah.
Indeed.
There's that lovely moment
when
where
we were all coming together anyway.
Yeah.
It was I think an important part of.
Yeah. There you go.
Seeing
It's
the
in the canal.
Taking place. Oh yeah, here you go. Tay Bridge disaster.
Yeah, the training day, they missed a perfect opportunity because there's that wonderful moment.
Ad break?
No.
Yes, there is an ad break coming up. Here we go.
Yeah,
right.
there is one coming up. It's not yet for me, but
right. And here we go. Yeah, they've just shown a buckled bridge and pause it there. Right. Oh, I am actually getting adverts this time. That's a new thing. I haven't had them the last few times. Anyway, yeah, on that training day, the Jacobite steam tour came through Corpac from Fort William on its way to Mallaig. And the newspaper, very unfairly, and I got into a rather nasty argument with someone on Wikipedia about this. The article basically said that we had staged a walkout in order to go and watch the train. We hadn't done that. We'd been asked if we wanted to go and do that, and pretty much the unanimous answer was yes, we would like to go and see the train. Thank you very much. And then there was all those. They filmed some beautiful shots of everyone gathered round with their camera phones and watching the train come through past the level crossing. It was a really nice moment. It was just everyone sort of getting together and sharing a mutual love of all things trains and engineering, and I'm gutted they didn't include anything from that, because that was a really lovely moment. It was a high point of that day. It was just like, yeah, these are people who all have something in common, and yeah, it was really nice.
But it also illustrated something slightly wrong with how the production company, right, so you've got, what was it, 52 railway people who are engaged with railway things. That's pretty much the only reason why you'd be there.
Basically, yes. I think there were very few people there who had either no interest in engineering or no interest in trains. Very few. Off the top of my head, there's like 2 or 3. Yeah, that's it. It was either one or the other or both. So,
but then why did they not... because it was quite clear they hadn't even known that the steam engine was there. They were really confused when we heard it go past the first time. But it's like, well, if you'd done your research, you could have had that shot of all of us coming off the train. Off the Jacobite.
Yeah.
And instead, we had that weird airport bit.
Yeah. If you'd been smart about it, you'd have done a shot of the Jacobite part sort of arriving at Corpac station. Then, because I think it did stop briefly, did it?
No,
it did go straight through. You're right. You could have showed it coming straight through and then cut in that shot of us walking onto the dock side. That would have been perfect. Missed opportunity, Love Productions.
Yeah. That was the immediate thing that was highlighted to me. Like all the other people that watched it was like, they really should have had you on the train. Because then you'd also had the great shot of it going over the bridge.
Yes, of course. Yeah, the swing bridge. It's, again, gutted they didn't include that, because that in itself is a remarkable piece of railway engineering.
But they were just kind of like, oh, there's a steam engine here?
Yeah.
What?
You guys know nothing.
Well, yes, we know that now. But
Yes.
it's kind of like, it takes 5 minutes to go Corpac. Trains.
Yeah. I mean, they literally talk about Glenfinnan Viaduct, which is about 10 minutes up the road from Corpac.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a big deal, guys.
Has anyone been up there since the programme?
I haven't been up there. I would love to go up there. Dearly love to go back up there. Haven't made it yet.
I have a plan to go back up there at some point. I've had multiple offers dragging me back up there, and I've never taken any of them.
I'm still shell-shocked, are you?
Yeah, it's the midge nets.
I think if I went, I'd have to go in, like, spring or autumn when the midges are dying down or not quite there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Early summer would be better because you got the midges are just starting and you can
Yeah, there's not swarms of them yet, honestly.
They don't kind of melt out of the trees and when they sense someone nearby.
I mean, I'll tell you what, it would make a fabulous episode of Doctor Who. The midge infestation. They land the TARDIS in Scotland and are just attacked by
there
radioactive
isn't even anything
midges.
actually going on. It's just regular
It's just
midges.
Honestly, it was like something out of a horror film. You'd be walking along, definitely in the evenings, but during the day as well. In the evenings, when it had just stopped raining and was really humid, that was when they got their worst. Because they would all come out to play, and there would be huge... You could see them from about half a mile away, these huge clouds of these buzzing, irritating little sods. But enough about the production team. No.
I wish I could have seen them coming from half a mile away in a cloud.
That was mean. I really liked the production team. That's not fair.
Yeah,
given that while we were up there, we had all that lousy weather. Of course, there was a heat wave in the rest of the country.
Yeah, predictably.
Yeah, beautiful weather.
I was texting my now fiance, soon to be
when
wife.
I'm telling people about the midge problem, they think I'm exaggerating when I say, you unzip the tent, step outside, and you can literally inhale midges.
Yeah.
Whenever you got a cup of tea, that if you didn't have 2 or 3 midges floating in it, you knew something was wrong. It's like, what have you done to this tea? There's no midges floating in it. I'll have another, thanks.
I went at the end of when we were still at the first campsite, toward the end of us being there, the next major group, which kind of went onto the Corpac campsite, was the local beekeeping society. And my general policy is, if I go to somewhere new, always talk to the local beekeeping society.
Yes, because they know what's what. Yeah, makes sense.
So they were like, yes, the only true way of stopping the midges is not to repel them, because you'll just get the brave ones. They said no. They said put honey on your face, and they can't eat through it. They just get stuck to it and die. That's the only way to avoid the bites.
Who, by the way, is Crofty 2009? Because I from what you're saying, I'm getting...
Alexander Crofty's sitting next to me.
Oh, yes, okay, fair enough. Okay, then. Right, let's... Right, are we ready to carry on? My advert's finished. Hello!
Where is he? There we go.
Yeah.
Take that.
Yeah, he's sitting in the background. Hello, that's Alex. He's another one of the participants. He gets his big moment in episode 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Get out.
You're the one that turned the camera.
Yeah. No, I mean get out of the comment section.
No, stay in the comment section. You're making the place look busy. Okay, right. Is everyone ready to carry on?
Yes.
Okay, so if we are ready, in 3, 2, 1. Train's running, yes. This was a beautiful moment. I don't know where this bit by the river is. It wasn't near... Was it near the campsite we were at?
Corpac, yeah, it was just at the end of the campsite, in between the campsite and the car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. there's the IP engineering carriage. My inferior attempt here. Like the model's put together quite nicely. I'm quite proud of that. The teak staining didn't quite go as well as I thought. It's a bit patchy in places.
Teak is a tough one to do in all fairness.
Yeah, no, it's I set myself a challenge there because I really like teak rolling stock. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing. And I wanted to kind of keep this coach as close to the one that left Fort William as possible, but also put a little twist on it. So I felt teak wood stain would be a good one to do. So yeah, that's same kit. They are still available if you want your very own biggest little railway coach. They're not very expensive either. I think they're about £30. But then you do have the work of putting it all together and painting it if you so wish. I think Paul went for a grey roof watching the programme back now. I couldn't find... When I was thinking about it, I looked at various options. I went with white because I think it looks pretty, but grey looks good too. Some lovely bits about navvies here, and I think this would be an ideal moment to sort of pay tribute to the navvies who built the railway network and, of course, the canal network in this country. Many of them very, very skilled at what they did, paid what we would consider a pittance today, working in horrible conditions in all weathers. They are sort of the unsung heroes of the industrial age.
Yes.
And it's criminal, really, that I wasn't taught about the navvy's contribution to the world in school. I had to go and learn all about that for myself.
I was.
You
was
were?
About in
okay.
criminology.
There's probably a very good reason for that.
Yeah, their contributions to criminal science is beyond measure. Genuinely.
But there are some lovely moments in this series where they talk about, what life as a navvy and what that would have entailed, and living rough, sleeping in places, what have you.
Oh yeah, we complained, but we had it nowhere near as bad as some.
Oh God, no. We were living luxury compared to how the Victorian navvies were treated.
The only one that I had some amusement with, a friend of mine from America pointed out that there was a navvy slave driver. Because he genuinely did whip the navvies.
Yeah.
Particularly the Irish ones. If they weren't working hard enough. Called Dick Strawbridge. But his contribution to navvy science was that he fed them all on mojito ham. Ham, meat, that had been left to marinate in mojito, lime and alcohol.
Okay.
And that was their entire food ration.
Bloody hell.
The lime would
Dick's
give them
just
enough
lost his
vitamin
hat.
C to survive. But
This is Chris. I forget Chris's surname. Someone remind me. Chris Lee. There he is. Engineer from Roundhouse, the company who made Silver Lady. Oh, they do get a mention. I was lying, but that's about it. I think that's the only time their name is mentioned. They don't get a thank you in the credits or anything. But yeah. Lovely explanation here of the technical side of things.
But they actually, I mean, fair play to the animator here as well. I mean, I wouldn't have done the eccentrics personally.
No, to be fair, they must have spent a long time working on this, and you can see on my one, if I turn it round, they have got that pretty much spot on in that animation. Yeah. It is pretty much exactly how it looks in real life. Good animator, very good. Good graphic designer, that's the word I'm looking for.
Well, and animator if they're different people.
I think Chris himself was surprised at just how much punishment that loco took and still kept going. It's a...
Well, yes, because I remember a very optimistic conversation at the very beginning with him where he's there going, oh, it'll be fine. We'll just take it home and it won't be special. We'll just take it home, back to Roundhouse, redo it and remachine it and send it back out again for sale. And it was like toward about halfway through he's there going, it might be going for scrap. And then at the very end it was like, no, this is nothing here is
If you want
recovering.
an advert for how good your products are, stick that in a display case and go, that drove for 70 miles across Scotland.
Yeah.
Hand me money, please.
Across a mountain from sea level.
I mean,
Scotland.
I'm just going to say, on the strength of this programme and this locomotive, that is why I own that, and that is why I model in 32mm gauge in my back garden. On the strength of this loco.
Not 16mm.
16mm scale, 32mm gauge.
Yes.
Here we are. We're about to set off, which means we're almost at the end of episode 1. He's being very gentle with that regulator.
Well, yes, because he's got the engineer looking over his shoulder.
That didn't last very long, I suspect.
I think I should actually say that I was told by the security guard monitoring them when they did this. There's a very quick cutscene right at the moment it's coming off the station there, and the reason for that is that it fell off straight away.
Delta doesn't wish to go on its side.
She's rebelling from the office. It's like, no, don't want to do this.
Exactly.
This shot of everyone watching the footage on their phones is lovely. I remember that moment of us seeing it leave for the first time. It was just that moment of feeling, yes, we're actually building something that a train's running on now. That is marvellous.
It just led to arguments in ours of who's going to be the first one to drive it.
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit emotional watching this, I have to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
First bend. It's going to fall off. Spoiler alert. There we go. No.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Boo! Yeah, we'll get
I
to
thought
this.
it was on the first disc. When is Lunchgate?
Episode 2, we're going to get to that. You can see here, it all gets a bit dramatic from here on out. Oh dear. Anyway, that was episode 1. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I think, if it's all right with you both, gentlemen, we are going to take a short break. If we say 5 minutes, and then we will come back for the start of episode 2. Does that suit everyone?
Yep.
Cool.
Excellent.
Lovely. Okay, we will see you all in about 5 minutes. So if you would all like to hurry off and
5 minutes it is.
load up episode 2, that would be fantastic. And we will see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Hello.
Hi.
Are we both back?
Well, I'm here.
Good. Modelling that scarf beautifully.
Falling over so many times. I discovered on the last day from one of the camera crew that if anyone fell anywhere, it was known as doing a dick.
Sadly, none of your falling overs made it to film, which was which is most upsetting.
I think they were worried that it might give rise to litigation or something.
Possibly.
I think they probably just stopped recording them after a certain number.
It probably got dull after a bit, let's be honest.
Again, I do remember, it was in the second week, we got it over the radio that someone had gone into, someone had fallen over and someone else had got into anaphylactic shock.
God.
And there was this whole of going, oh, okay, what's going... And our camera crew just kind of got up their gear and was like, okay, we're going. And it was like, oh, wait, no, it was a dick, it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
The best of my accidents has to be when I woke up in the middle of the night and felt around me, and I thought, what's that on the ground? And I had my head... Remember those head torches we used to have?
Yes, they were terrible, but...
Useful. I put my head torch on. I thought, there's a pool of Ribena on the floor. Who's been drinking Ribena? And I looked closely, and it wasn't. It's where I'd done my foot, and there was a pool of blood.
I can vouch for this.
So I had to wake up my snoring companion.
I don't know who that could be.
Who very kindly went and got some medical assistance.
And I think it was that moment that you and I were destined to do this forever.
Yeah, man.
Phrasing.
Oh dear, I love you.
Thank you, Matt.
Sorry. Now I'm just feeling like a third wheel. I'll get out of here.
No, stay. Okay, right. Is everyone ready with episode 2, by the way?
Sure, why not?
Yep, okay. Mine one has decided it's going to play an advert, so I'm just going to wait for that to rock and roll. Is anyone else not set up with it yet in the chat room? By the way, folks, if you are watching this live and you're either in the Twitch chat room or in the YouTube chat room, which is over on that side of the screen, then you can leave us a question and we will do our best to answer it. I mean, you've got the three of us here. Between us, I'm sure we'll be able to cobble something together. So,
Team British Rail, what's wrong with British Rail?
how long have you got? I think the thing is, British Rail, and I think the way Hadrian is describing it there, British Rail was a overly complicated and bureaucratic organisation with lots and lots of leakage, shall we say. It splurged money and time, and just it was not. It was not a good period in Britain's railway history, put it that way. I think many people see it as a very dark period in British railway history. I don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest, but I think it is seen very much by people in the railway fraternity as not a good era for Britain's railways. So calling us Team British Rail is quite the insult, shall we say.
The worst bit about it is that you're Team C.
Yeah.
Where's the C in that?
Exactly.
Cuban Rail, maybe? British Rail, that's looking bad on Team B. We were right.
Oh, come on.
You struggling there, Dick?
Yeah, I'm struggling to get this to actually go on to episode 2.
Ah, well, that's helpful. Well, we'll wait on you then. Give all the people at home a chance as well.
I keep pressing
What is the greatest thing railway-wise you've ever done? Asked the Monster of Monsters. I think all three of us are probably going to have the same answer, and in that mine is you're watching it.
Driving a Deltic.
Okay, yeah, you win that one. Fair enough. But apart from Biggest Little Railway, probably the greatest thing I've ever done is as a guard at the Nene Valley Railway. I volunteer as a guard there. We had Flying Scotsman there twice for 2 events, and on the first time I missed out on being a guard behind it because I was stuck on the diesel shuttles that were bringing people in from Peterborough to ride on the Flying Scotsman, so I missed out there. And then the second year they had it there, I had a trainee with me, and we were both on the diesel shuttle again. And the guard who was going to be guard on Flying Scotsman came up to both of us and said, look, I did it yesterday. Your trainee has had plenty of practice on the Continental stock. He's not had much practice on the Mark 1s. Do you want to take my... Yes, please. So between us, my trainee and I, we split up the 5 trains of the day. So I think he did 3, I did 2. And I've got to say, I know everyone thinks Flying Scotsman is overhyped, but it is a very famous locomotive, and there was something really rather special about standing there in full uniform with my green flag and my whistle, waving the Flying Scotsman off. It's, you know, that's the kind of thing you tell your grandkids about, so they can then say, my granddad guarded on that, just to be different.
That, I'm afraid, Matt.
What's yours?
Twice steam engine driver experience training courses, whatever they call them, on the West Somerset.
Oh, stunning railway.
2 days for the first course and 1 day for the second.
Marvellous.
And it was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
I still remember...
Aldney Manor.
Beautiful. I still remember my first sort of full-size steam engine I've driven. I've driven lots of miniature ones, but the only full-sized one... No, I tell a lie. I've driven 2 full-sized ones, briefly. The first one was a driver experience day. It was an 060 Hunslet class Ring Hoare, currently based at the North Norfolk Railway, but it was at the Nene Valley at the time. And then the second one I've driven is a GWR class 1501, which the driver on my first turn as a loco cleaner many years ago basically backed it out from the station throat into the to the siding, which then went into the loco yard, and then basically pointed me at the regulator and said, right, that makes it go. I was like, you're joking. He went, no, go on. So I gently opened the regulator and he went, do you see that speed limit sign there? I went, yeah, 5 miles an hour. He went, yeah, come on, give it some welly. So still, yeah, there is nothing more special than getting behind the regulator of a steam engine, even if it is only very briefly. So 3 days of it, you lucky devil.
The only steam engine I've driven was this small, Andrew Barclay 040 16-inch shunter.
Nice.
Yeah, lovely. Until the guy driving it, this actually he was a Syrian refugee.
Oh, really? Okay.
Whose job was to keep it warm overnight to heat up the Mark 1 carriages for the railway. He let me drive it, and it was like, okay. And he pointed out that all the controls were bodged on because they'd been stolen in the previous overhaul. And in fact, they're all reversed because of that.
Oh, that's fun.
So that engine, against every other Andrew Barclay and every other locomotive in Britain, I should never ever take my skills from this one to any other.
Well, as long as you remember that's the important thing.
Yes.
Right, are we all ready to go now?
Ready.
Right, everybody at home as well. In 3, 2, 1. Episode 2. This intro does get a bit repetitive, I have to be honest.
Well, I mean, they've blown their budget on all the animation and the soundtrack and the...
I enjoy the fact that they filmed that one shot of the Forth Rail Bridge because it's the one of the most famous landmarks in Scotland, and it is never mentioned again because we never go near the damn thing.
No.
Well, people kind of forget that it's 150 miles between that and Inverness.
Yeah, it's quite a long way away in either direction. You know? I do love the fact they've just slapped a whistle on top. The Silver Lady doesn't have a whistle. I think it's actually stolen. There's a clip with, is it Andrew Christie driving on the Severn Valley? He's a driver over there. Yeah. And I think they've literally taken that whistle from the footage of him driving.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. I think the whistle itself is from Tor Valley, because it's a majestic engine, but the whistle's shot on it. So it has the meaning kind of sound. Huge thing, huge plumes of steam.
Ideal for something Silver Lady's size rather, not side, but...
Oh no, it's the perfect sound for Silver Lady. It is terrible for Tor Valley.
Alexander has just put in the chat room that there's an estimated 500 hours of deleted footage, which begs the question, why did they only do 5 episodes? There was enough to do 6. That shot there showed a Lady Anne, which is like the predecessor to Silver Lady. Yeah, it's the less detailed version of Silver Lady, basically.
The railroad range.
Yes. Oh, that explosion with the fire there always makes me flinch. Nearly took my eyebrows off a couple of times. Day 4.
I think I'm about 20 seconds ahead of you.
Oh, okay, no worries. We'll catch up, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's fine. And stop.
10 minutes in and about 1,500 derailments.
Yeah. In fact,
and there's another one.
Closely, you can just see the beginning of the track.
Yeah, I think it was about now that everyone, certainly, well, not us, of course, because we weren't there at the time, but it was around about when we heard all about the problems it was having that we realised that actually this was going to be a bit more difficult than we thought. So...
Well, Gary gave us loads of feedback about what we're supposed to be doing about it. He was quite good in that. But yeah, it was a learning curve, because by that point we'd laid how many miles of track?
I don't know exactly, but 20 maybe, probably by the time it left.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. I've got to say though, the main problem and the main reason Silver Lady kept falling off the track was, as we said, the track was designed for an O gauge locomotive, which is the same gauge of track, but it's a standard gauge scale rather than a narrow gauge scale. So for an O gauge locomotive, this track was perfect because the centre of gravity is right in the middle. It's perfect. It's going to be reasonably stable for most of the way. By putting a 60mm scale locomotive on it, and what you've actually done is you've moved the centre of gravity. So any undulation whatsoever, it literally just goes... Yeah. And I know this to be true because when I was building my garden railway, I've accidentally ended up with a very sharp curve out of a gradient. And the first time I ran Silver Lady down that gradient, she very unceremoniously went down the slope, off of the curve, and onto her backside. So... an authentic Biggest Little Railway experience. But, yeah, it just goes to show the roundhouse models, they're wonderful, they're beautiful, but they are very top-heavy. It was not suitable for this track at all. If you were going to use that, and it was being designed for it, you needed the base of the track to be a lot wider to account for the weight of the loco and the centre of gravity. Yeah. Which it just wasn't. So it was a bit like, running a locomotive along a tightrope.
Yeah.
There's some stunning footage here, I think, of the... I think this must be the Fort William to Mallaig line in actuality.
Yes, it is.
It's a shame. I can't find any pictures anywhere of the railway from Fort William to Fort Augustus. Because it must have been... I mean, that first bit of line, it's before you properly get up into the mountains and through round Loch Ness. which would have been a stunning railway journey. But I would have loved to see some pictures and footage from it because it must have been marvellous.
Well,
It wasn't
it was
open
one
very
that
long though,
if you had snuck away on the first day, they're actually doing interviews with some of the original drivers.
Really?
Yeah, while we were doing all of our health and safety, there were like 12 of them in the back room.
Oh, brilliant! Wow.
With a load of like original pictures because they had like every line when it closed, they had an SLS tour. They had all that going on.
Of course.
And they had loads of pictures, and just none of it got used at all.
No. Ironically, looking at the old maps that show the route of the railway out to Fort Augustus, right where the railway ferry is, there was actually a loading siding for the canal at that location. And that was there well before the railway through to Fort Augustus was built, but it remained there sort of in situ.
Yeah.
So, there's no evidence there was a railway there now, but we're about to find out what the problem was with the train ferry.
Oh, there's so many problems with the train ferry.
What the big problem is, if you look at this animation, it looks fairly sensible. The ferry is a very good size. It's
no, it doesn't. It doesn't look sensible. The ferry, the canal locks, they push water in from the bottom.
Yes. This is one problem, certainly.
It's creating huge swells. With regular canal boats in a full-size canal lock, they take up the entire space.
Yes.
To equalise that force. When you have a huge canal lock with a tiny boat, it's not.
It was never going to end well, admittedly. But when you compare the boat to the animation we've just seen there with what you actually end up with, well, I think you're going to notice there is some slight differences, certainly. We'll get to that in a moment. How does it work? Brilliant! You'd think they would have covered this beforehand rather than having to find them at the time.
Oh no, they did keep our bit.
Yeah.
Yay! That beautiful curve which came off the ramp and then went onto the pontoon. That was what me and Will spent so long fighting with, because it's three-dimensional and flexible.
I noticed they didn't show Silver Lady going down that jetty, because I suspect she probably did so at speed.
We spent so much time and effort. Well, no, I know actually that she derailed on that bit, because the cameras followed it, the pontoon moved, and it just shifted underneath.
Yeah, sounds about right. There's that beautiful bit in episode 1 where you see there's a shot of the truck running down the track. The gradient is about that on that path, and they don't show Silver Lady going down it. I'm reliably informed she managed it, it's a shame we didn't get to see it.
With careful throttling and control.
Yeah. Now, you'll see there is a slight scale difference from the boat that we saw in the animation and the one that we've actually got. It's quite a lot smaller.
I'm pleased to say that they somewhat listened to me when I'd said off camera that they kind of need pontoon side floats to keep it stable.
Which you can see they have fitted.
I kind of meant quite a bit wider than that.
Yeah. They've made an effort. What more do you want?
But even then you can see that our original, we thought the boat was going to be quite a bit bigger than it was.
Yeah.
In fact, when we built the bridge, we were reliably told by H that they haven't even got round to finish building the remote control boat. So, surely they'd have at least had a rough idea of what they were doing, but apparently not.
Well, you'd hope so, but Dick is having way too much fun making this program.
Sorry. Have you played with a remote control boat in a canal?
No.
It's the most fun thing you can have.
The closest I have come is my my de facto uncle, my nan's partner after my granddad died. My uncle Dave had a old sailing boat, and it literally is not remote control. It literally is a model boat. It's beautifully carved from wood with a sail. The closest I've come to that is sticking that on a lake near where I live and racing it to the other side of the lake. We nearly lost it once. But because there's an island slap bang in the middle of the lake, and if it got stuck behind that, you can't get out to that, so we'd have lost it. But it's
just saying it before it goes. What Dick's suffering from here is that the swing bridge with the railway on top, the railway uses standard, track circuiting.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're just coming up to an ad break, so if everyone wants to pause if they haven't done already. There we go. Anyway. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, the track circuits are, along with the bridge, are acting like a giant, basically magnetic shield in between.
Yeah.
And that's what's stopping him from controlling it.
It's basically an EMP he's standing next to. Yeah.
And so even though he can see it perfectly well there, he can't control that engine at all. But it gets through anyway. The wind blows.
Yeah, how long did it take? It must have been a while because I think that
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Because I know the time it took from us sort of seeing that initial footage of the engine leaving, and that was a little while after it had left, to us hearing, without wishing to spoil it, that something had gone wrong, was a space of several hours. So
See, this is the problem, because for my team, we were so busy engrossed in work in an area with no actual phone contact. We were told both of those out of sequence.
Yeah. Oh, so you saw the initial problem and then the video. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had the video scene of seeing it.
Bruce Willis is a ghost. Still on the ad break, so we've not got much interesting to say. Should have used an actual boat instead of a scale one.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yes. It's. Do you know what? I'd have paid money for them to stick Dick in a canoe with Silver Lady strapped to the back of it.
No, because then you'd have drowned Dick Strawbridge. I talked to a friend of mine who is a far better canoer than I will ever be. Who would normally treat white water as if it's nothing. And I was there going, just what sort of boat, if you had to go up the Jupiter locks, not Jupiter, Neptune locks.
Neptune, that's it. Neptune staircase.
What boat size would you have? You go at least 20 foot.
Yeah.
He's there going, preferably with an engine in the back. And I'm going, so you wouldn't go in a canoe or something? He goes, no, that's how you drown. That's how you die.
Death is coming. Death is here.
And they said, again, this is the thing which people do canoe up and down a lot. And they said that there used to be a lovely little jetty for canoeists.
That you could climb onto.
By those pontoons.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they said, yeah, this guy, he's quite a large chap. And he said, you pull up against the pontoons and they shift down. And you realise that all you've done is just sink the pontoon a little bit. Because it's just rolling with you as you're trying to get out of your boat.
Yeah, people don't understand that the force there is of water coming into a lock.
Oh, yeah.
I spent 7 years, Matt knows, I spent 7 years living on a canal narrowboat. And we were totally itinerant. And being in a lock when you've got a 70-foot boat underneath you weighing a good few tons, it gets bobbed around like a flipping cork.
Yeah. Well, you turn your engine off because it can do nothing. You're working best off your guy ropes.
So on that basis, if for those of you who haven't quite worked out where we're going with this, wait and see. You've probably got a very good idea of what's about to happen. Right, my ad break has finished. Is everyone else ready?
Yeah, mine's finished.
Right, okay, I'll just give it a couple of seconds just for people in the chat room to
Just
catch
had
up.
the delivery of a Backman coach.
Oh, fantastic.
This hour?
Yes, this hour.
Royal Mail are delivering
Hermes.
late, aren't they? So,
It's Hermes.
ah, well, there you go then. Well, they had to deliver
Track through your
something.
window then.
Right, ready when you are.
Okay, right. If everybody is ready in the chat room as well, we will press play in 3, 2, 1. Is that literally a bit of track dick dangling into the canal there? I think it might be.
Yes, it looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. You can see there, actually, this is a beautiful demonstration of how flexible the track actually was.
Yeah.
Which gives you some idea of, one, why we had so many problems with it, but also how versatile it was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thousands of uses for that stuff.
I love that all of the engineering prowess on display here. It's get a bit of fishing line and we'll hold it in place. Yeah, that's going to keep it perfectly steady. I guarantee it.
But that's basically what you have to do with a full-size boat.
Essentially, yeah. But the thing is, with a full-size boat, you've got several tons of weight to help you out as well.
It's a lot less manoeuvrable, but it's scale engineering.
Yeah, the only problem with that is you're scale engineering in something that is many, many times bigger than the scale of something like that would be built for.
Yes.
They're talking now about a really stunning area. I think this was near, oh gosh, what was it called? Aberchelder, I think it's called. There's a lovely overflow from the canal. Which the canal path kind of dips into, and that's where they build a big viaduct, which they'll discuss shortly. But we spent, I think, day 3 there, and day 3 had some, I think it would be fair to say, quite painful memories to begin with.
I don't remember this bright sunny weather.
No, see, I think this must have been a different day, because the day we were there, it was grey and miserable, apart from a little bit first thing in the morning. But yeah, it's a lovely area. They've got you've got the river that flows out along the route of the canal, and the water from the canal, when it gets high, literally spills over and out into the river over this. What would you call it? I forgot. Spillway. Thank you. Yeah, they've literally just showed Glenfinnan viaducts.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Can you name a more iconic viaduct at this point?
No.
You may not even be aware that it's in Scotland.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, I think if you ask a railway enthusiast what the best viaduct is, they'll probably say Ribblehead on the Settle Carlisle line, which is a stunning viaduct. But I think your layman will think of Glenfinnan viaduct because of some films about a schoolboy wizard. They weren't very popular. I don't know any of you have heard of them. So.
No. But then again, you get the problem there, which is it's kind of a Flying Scotsman story.
Yeah.
With the Ribblehead. A lot of us know it because of the iconic story behind it, rather than because it's actually a particularly good viaduct.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like saying, oh yes, the Sankey Viaduct.
Mind you, that being said, on the flight up, you did get a beautiful view out the window as the plane banked to sort of make its way out over Cumbria and up towards Inverness, and you got a beautiful view straight down to a tiny, what would probably be Z-scale Ribblehead viaduct. It's one of the most surreal things I've ever done.
The LNER, when they used to run the line, of course, way back when.
Yeah, that's going back a long way. That, blimey.
Yeah, they used to show off the speed of the trains along there. They had a race where they had an engine that ran along that route, and a plane flew above it.
Yeah.
And there's a great picture of the plane flying around the inside curve of the viaduct, while the train's running over it. Astounding picture. I'll have to find it, but incredible viaduct as well. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Right. Okay, we're getting up to Lunchgate. This day was a nightmare. Where we are walking was not actually our route. We were given a start point and told to go in one direction, which we started doing.
Yes.
After about an hour, a member of the production team pointed out we were actually supposed to be going the other way, having done an hour's work. And this was prefaced with us driving around for, again, another hour in the morning, trying to find something. We've been mucked about all day because no one seemed to know what direction we should be doing anything in. And now Hadrian's going on about expansion joints. This is about midday.
Yep.
And again, expansion joints every 100 metres. We have never discussed this up until this point, and this is day 3.
No,
Hold on. Here comes our leader.
We'll deal with that after lunch. 1 o'clock. I apologise. I was wrong. This is played like Paul's having a strop. It backfired spectacularly because I think 99% of the people who watched this went, good on Paul.
Yes.
And that's absolutely marvellous, because the fact is, we've been mucked about all morning, and like Paul said, some of us have had very little sleep. Dick, I think you weren't the only one in the team, but you're diabetic as well, and I think there was another person in the team who is also diabetic, so they were struggling already as it is. We were all getting a bit irritable, and we've not had a snack break either. The snack van never turned up, because we had 3 breaks basically throughout the day. We had a snack break.
Way.
Yeah, because we'd gone in the wrong direction. They didn't know where we were. So, we'd been mucked about for ages. And then we had Hadrian coming along criticising our work when we hadn't been told to put expansion joints in at all. It had never been discussed with us. In hindsight, perhaps, yes, as people who would work with railway modelling and railways, yes, expansion joints is an obvious thing. We weren't thinking about it because it was all very new. We were learning as we went, and then Paul says very reasonably, we'll do it after lunch, and Hadrian gets a cob on, shall we say, and I don't think he comes across
Paul
very well.
Established himself as Team C's leader.
100%. I think if there was any doubt at all that Paul was not leadership material, he proved that he was at that one point.
Yeah, my after this episode, a picture of Paul just after that scene was put up in the shop as a yes, good on this guy. Stand up for your lunch breaks. Majestic. And I was thinking, well, I mean, he did have these situations, and they were like, nope, he is standing up for our right to a lunch break.
Justin says, to me, Paul seemed like a very kind guy and was looking out for his team. Honestly, I said, good job, Paul. Yes, Paul looked after us, and he made sure we were all right, and he was bloody good doing it. And I think in a way he neglected himself to a point, and it did get to him kind of partway through the project. He was really struggling a bit, I think. But, he picked himself up and carried on, but with a little bit of help. But, he'd never done anything remotely sort of management related up until that point, really. This was his first thing at lead. They say it in episode 1. They ask him, how good are you at leadership? He said, I think, and he's kind of umming and ahhing about leadership. So. Well,
it's a bold statement to say, how good am I as a leader? Well, of course, I'm amazing. Is never a good thing to say.
We'll go back to Andy's quote from episode 1. What do you see yourself doing? Leader.
Yeah.
I will mention at this point that Andy was in our team. Yeah. Bless him. I like Andy, but I don't think... I think he probably felt that he should have been in charge and tried to take charge a few times and was very irritably told no.
With respect, I think he led Team E.
Yes.
That had a single member.
Yes. You can see here that the track laying is going along really well. The old sausage technique is coming into play. So literally we had a track laid out on the thing pre-fish plated, and we were literally driving the quad bike along slowly, sliding it off as we went, clip it together, move on to the next bit. And
it was at this point that about day 3, day 4. H gives us the great idea of ignore any of the van driver's complaints. We have 2 people in the back of the van putting lengths of track together, and then a line of people behind feeding it out onto the floor.
That is pretty sort of marvellous.
We discovered that H had actually, or someone had removed our end goal post.
And you were just keeping going.
We just went and went and went. And 2 hours after every other team had gone back, we were
Disaster
eventually
is a
told-
striking on screen as we speak.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's gone in the drink.
Oh.
I don't know who it is that does this, but in a minute, I think we're about to see someone literally dive into the water or
They
jump
climb
down the ladder.
The access ladder.
Down the access ladder. I mean, they literally
They just
dive
have
down
to
the
move
access.
it across using
Yeah.
the strings.
Yeah, here you go. Someone's just literally getting down the access ladder and going in to save the local. I have no idea who that is. I don't think it's one of the
build team. I've forgotten who it is as well.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was about to say, one thing more suicidal than such a tiny boat and such a big lock.
Oh, and it's gone
is
all the
diving
way
into
in
a
now.
lock.
There we go. Right, everyone would like to pause because we've come to another ad break.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all got very dramatic there, didn't it? Yeah. But yeah, going back to the track laying technique we were talking about briefly. Once we actually kind of got our heads around that as an idea, certainly the long straight sections on the roads, because a lot of the route we took didn't actually follow the roads. They actually went up through the Forestry Commission paths, through the hills around Loch Ness. And once we got there, and it was lots of long, windy paths, and yes, you did have some curves to contend with, but on the long straight bits, with the sausage technique, you just ate up the distance. You could lay, miles worth of track in minutes if you were quick enough. It's amazing how quickly things progress once we actually got our heads around that as an idea.
Because something that's not been mentioned yet is the fact that we should have had 4 quad bikes, one for each team.
Yes.
Yes, addressing the quad bike in the room.
And,
Or the lack of it, rather.
Well, the problem I had, and Les, who's listening into this, will remember, I must have a big bonce or something because I couldn't get the crash helmet on. And we discovered this on the day we were training back in Corpac. And so it was always, we'll get you a big crash helmet. And so every morning I'd be saying to the runners, have I got a new crash helmet yet, please? And it was several days before I found one I could just about get on.
Dear.
And then I had 2 days of riding the quad bike when it packed up and we didn't have quad bikes anymore. But the difficulty of manhandling all that gear from stockpiles of track without a quad bike and trailer, dreadful. But that was bad planning.
Definitely.
I mean, they
They
every
had
quad
it.
bike in the country
Yeah.
was at
Glastonbury. Yeah, they picked the week to film this when it was the Glastonbury Festival. So every quad bike in the entire United Kingdom was in Glastonbury. We got, I think, 4 really poorly maintained ones, which I think one of them overheated.
Yes, one of them did, because there were racing ones, and they're at high speed. No, but this is one of the ones which we ran into at one of the, again, I can't think where we were. But we actually laid track past a quad bike, an amphibious quad bike rental place.
Amazing.
With Russian octaquads, which are designed to go on water and do all these other things.
That sounds like it would have been ideal.
Yeah, and we were there going, why aren't we using those? And even, because we were really, really careful with ours, because we were like, no, these are completely wrong for the job. Then we kept on being handed other teams' ones, so we never got a good one.
How many working ones did we end the project with? Because I think certainly one we're about to see what happened to it, I think later in this episode, and another they just had to stop using because it was just overheating and was liable to go bang at any minute.
So from my memory, there were 3 different rotations of quad bikes. We had red ones at the beginning, then we had green ones in the middle, and then we were back to a different version of red ones at the end.
Yes.
With a handful of the green ones still surviving. I know we killed all but one of the first red ones.
Oh dear. Right, my ad break has finished.
As has mine.
It has, good. I hope everyone else's ad break has finished. We'll just give them a minute just to make sure. But yeah, the quad bikes were farcical, really. It just got silly. And again, not really anyone's fault per se. It was just it was poor timing in that, like we say, Glastonbury Festival, there was not a spare quad bike anywhere in the country. So we had to make do with what we had. So yeah. It's a miracle that we got through this without someone getting seriously injured or dying, really, isn't it? Present company accepted, Dick.
Yeah, well, at this stage, just as it be known, I was still there.
Yeah, Dick was still here at this point. We'll
I only missed 3 days.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of the episode, because I don't think it's really covered in upcoming ones, but I do want to chat about it before we finish for the night. But in the meantime, I think everyone should be ready now. So are we ready, gentlemen?
Ready?
Yep.
Ready? Okay. Play in 3, 2, 1. Drama going on screen right now. Oh, it's the lock keeper, apparently.
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, that would be the only person that they trust.
There we
to
go.
down there.
He's literally got it by the base of the boat. Yeah, I bet everyone was really glad they actually strapped the engine onto the boat at this point, because if they just sat it on there, that would not have been coming out.
It would have been recovered when they dredged the lock.
Yeah. Probably in several pieces by that point.
Now, have they taken it out of the water on the side they want it to get to?
Yes.
Yes, they have done, from the looks of it.
I don't think it's cheating.
No, it's not. No. So basically, by this point, we've covered about, what, a mile into the journey?
I believe it's, I want to say 1.5.
1.5 miles. And that's where they had to stop for the day.
Yes.
Because having taken a dip in the water, Chris from Roundhouse wanted to take it back and take it to pieces and make sure it wasn't
He was concerned
dead.
there was water in the burner.
Yes.
Which would just kill it.
Yeah, that would just knacker the whole thing, and that would not get running again. So, meanwhile, at this point, everyone sat there looking at their phones like, oh, look, the train's on the way, it's moving, how wonderful. Little did we know, it's... The A-team. Ah, the Eurofighter. Yes, I remember that going overhead.
Yeah.
Aberchaldo sort of flew overhead, and we all sort of waving in our high vis. He did waggle his wings at us, which was quite nice.
Sorry, yeah, he's travelling how fast?
Very fast.
Yeah.
But to be fair, high vis, he could probably see us from quite a long way away.
Yeah, but you didn't start waving then, did you?
No.
No, it was an interesting one. Quite a bit later, I think during the second week, we were on a bit which was quite a bit higher up, and we hadn't realised it, and we heard the sound of a big aircraft, and we were looking up, and then we looked down and across, and we're like, oh, we're above the aircraft.
Yes, I remember this, because we were along the road, oh gosh, where was it? It's coming up to one of the towns in the middle between Fort Augustus and anyway, wherever it was, we would by a lakeside going through a little village, being sort of eyed up by all the neighbours standing at their front gates, looking very suspicious. I think they thought we must have been installing fibre optic or something, because they all looked very puzzled. But yeah, there was this huge transport plane that came down, and it must have literally been feet off the surface of the water. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Speaking of thinking that we were laying fibre optic, there's one section that my team laid that was going through one of the forest tracks. Yeah. Great fun. We heard a rumbling sound, looked back, and there was a lorry.
Oh, no.
Well, no, this was while I was driving the train. So I had the engine in front of me, and we looked back, and there was a rumbling, and this lorry came down. And he went past us, went round and went past us.
Yeah.
And went back and firmly planted his wheels dead on the track.
Oh, you bugger.
And drove. And then he turned around and came back, and he got out, and he started having a go at us about, oh, what's this, whatever. And we're like, we're running a model railway train, and then we explain it. And he looks up and goes, oh, it's you, Derry. He was a lorry driver from Wales who would drive Welsh pine up to Corpac to be shipped out to Sweden.
Fantastic.
Would pick up Scottish pine wood to drive it all the way back down to Kronospan in Shirk, and that was his week.
Brilliant. So he immediately felt bad, I suppose, at that point.
He thought we'd been laying these emergency power lines they were starting to install in the forests.
Okay, yeah.
And so he was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to run over these intentionally to test their strength. No, this is track for our model train.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, I just crushed the next mile and a half of it.
Fantastic!
So we had to phone Dick, and he was like, can you relay it? And we're like, no.
Not really.
You turn the cameras off. So we actually, it turns out he'd missed actually quite a bit of it. So we ran another loop section that he'd missed. And kind of leapfrogged as we went. But he was really apologetic. And
I'm sure, yeah. Well, you would be.
But he was like, they weren't told as lorry drivers.
No. Well, it's, yeah.
And again, we were all in high vis.
Yeah.
So we must be important.
Yeah. Can see they're putting the viaduct together here, which is, again, remarkable. The stuff the special build team came up with and actually built was incredible, really. I mean, we're not sort of at the point where we can talk about the spiral at Inverness yet, but that was incredible.
Shut up.
But we'll get there. But there is this viaduct really just is a thing of beauty. It really is. They went out of their way, these guys, to not only create something that was functional, but something that looked nice as well. And I think with this viaduct, they got it bang on. It is a. I know it's only made of plywood, but it is a spectacular thing to actually look at. And it's just gutting that. I can say this without it being a spoiler. Silver Lady never crossed this bridge. There is a shot in the trailer of a steam engine going across this bridge. That was the Lady Anne the special build team had for sort of project measurements and what have you. Yeah, but the Silver Lady herself never went across it. And that was gutting. But she did cross everything else the special build team did.
Yeah.
Here's Chris looking remarkably surprised that the engine still works. And I'm impressed at this point because she's done 1.5 miles, I think we said earlier.
Yeah.
And there are virtually no scratches at the moment.
It is, as of now, missing parts, though, so...
Derry, you might be able to answer this. In the intro, Charlie says, you can't film us because we're breaking the law. What was happening when that was said?
So we had this about 250-metre section where we went onto a road.
Okay.
And the problem was in our team was that we had a road authorities member in who is to do with vehicle licensing, who was in the team and was like, these quads aren't road legal. And H was there going, it's fine then, we'll just get you a... And he's there going, well, we won't go. And the worst bit was that we got a thing through from H saying, go ahead, you can go, there'll be a police car there, but there shouldn't be a problem. You're there for like 100 metres, just get on with it. Pouring rain. And what we hadn't known was that the road was up for repair because it was undermined.
Oh, brilliant!
It was actually closed at both ends.
Fantastic.
And we just dropped into the undermined bit. The back end of the trailer just slid across and down.
Oh, God.
And we couldn't just bounce it out. It was stuck. So the camera crew was there going, ooh, can we get this in? Can we get this in? And yeah, Charlie just had to go, no, the quad shouldn't be here. And we've just flopped over, basically.
It's funny you're saying this because we didn't know the quads weren't road legal. Dick, how many miles did we drive that quad on the road laying track? I think it was several.
It was an interesting one that was brought up because, technically speaking, the access routes alongside the canals, all of those are technically speaking public highways in Scotland. So there was this kind of if you don't
Ignore
I
it
don't
and
know
hope
about the
for the best, I
paperwork.
think, is the technical term.
But yeah, the next day, or no, the second lot of quads, the green quads, those were road legal. Those had proper license plates, and they were meant to get special plates for the trailers.
So at the moment, we're just seeing Silver Lady being lit up on her second day. So this was the Saturday after we started, I believe. She's currently averaging 1.5 miles per day. If she had continued at that rate, it would have taken us about 2 and a bit months to do the whole journey. We do speed
Damn
things
it, we were
along.
sticking to it.
It does get quicker. It's quicker. Now, a little bit earlier on, they were talking about how Paul's team, Team C, our team, had a 1/2 mile of track to build. And the reason for that being that we were going up into the hills above Fort Augustus to go up through the Forestry Commission roads, or tracks more accurately, that vaguely resemble roads. In fact, here we are, we're at the bit now. It goes up this really steep hill, and it's about 100-metre climb over the course of that 1/2 mile. Inch Mountain, Dick has just called it. It's accurate.
Yeah.
Now, we started laying on this, and we looking at this and we're like, yeah, this gradient is really steep. Hadrian has mentioned there will be an engineering challenge here. And I think it was Les, I don't know if Les is still watching, I think it was Les who said at that point, what we need is a funicular railway. So we had already come up with this idea by this point, and then this happens. No, he wasn't, you lying liar face, liar, liar, pants on fire, liar face.
Right, calm down, mate. Calm down. It's years behind us now.
Yes, I know. I'm still very sore about this.
It's also fairly obvious that vernacular railway is pretty much one of the main answers to
Yeah,
this problem.
exactly.
We use it later as well.
Yes.
In fact, if anything, when Team B uses it later, we're even more impressed because we weren't even aware of the Lady Anne. So we were there making wagons out of just spare bits and pieces.
Oh, okay, brilliant.
Stacking them with rocks to get an estimate weight to get the vernacular to work.
Yeah. So Hadrian has come along now and says, one possible solution, we need a counterbalanced railway. It's like, yeah, we've already thought of that, mate. Because I know we've already thought of that, because at the point that section was filmed, I'd already been on the phone to someone in the production team saying, we're going to need some kind of like reels or fishing wire or something, because I think we're going to have to build kind of a funicular railway, so we need something to attach to the locomotive, and then we're going to have to think of some way of adding another wagon or something to actually pull it up this hill. And I was trying to explain it. It's like, okay, yeah, we can probably sort that out. And at that point, Hadrian shows up and says, have you thought about building a counterbalance railway? Oh no, we hadn't thought of that. And I
one of the things that gets me cross looking back is the way we did it. We had several of those pulleys.
Yes. Mm.
Because it was the only way to negotiate curves, or so we thought. And what we were told to build, and then we calculated, if you remember, the number of turntable pulleys it would need.
Yes. Mm.
And set to building them.
Yes.
And H later, about 2 hours later, said, "Oh no, you don't need to do it like that."
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed. I said,
"We'd spent 2 hours doing that." Yeah. And yeah, H literally said this. It's not in the final edit, but he does say, because Les says quite beautifully earlier on, you need turntables because you cannot winch around a corner. And he's absolutely right. You can't. In theory, in practice, I think that's exactly what they did. But, you know, if we're scaling up, you can't winch around corners. It doesn't work. Yeah, Pip losing the electrical tape there. Yeah. Yeah. It literally, that really steep. So this was the only solution.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So we needed 4 turntables we'd calculated at that point, and, quarter of the
How
distance.
many was it?
4, and they were a quarter of the way up the hill at this point, so... Yeah. Here we are. We've started building stuff. That's your big moment there, Dick.
Not the only one.
I think it's the first time in the show we've seen you doing some actual work.
Right, calm down.
Okay, yeah.
Harsh. There we go. Yeah, they really bodged that, didn't they, looking at it?
But it is annoying when you do what you're told to do, and then it's totally contradicted.
Right, we're coming up to an ad break here, so if we all hit pause now. I've got adverts playing again.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah, okay, so we'll whiz through that. I do partly jest about that day, because I think it was a lot more stressful at the time, and looking back on it, I can kind of laugh about it. And I do, to a point, kind of understand why they had to film H, giving us the idea, because it looks better. But it did feel, and I was assured by a producer that this was not what they were doing at all when we were down there. Because I said this at the end of this day. I actually grabbed the producer, who's a lady called Charlotte, lovely lady. I said, look, it does just feel a bit like our team is being set up as the clowns of the project. And she assured me, no, that's absolutely not what's happening at all. No, definitely not. And then you watch the edit, and that's pretty much exactly what they've done, which was annoying.
They didn't set you up to do that.
No.
They engineered you to do that.
Yes.
Set you up is, technically, they're not allowed to do that.
No. But yeah, it was just one of those things where we did sort of go away that day certainly feeling a little bit hard done by. And thankfully after this day, which was I think that was a low point there were a couple of low points on the project. I'll talk about the other one when we get to it during the watch-alongs. But I think this day was a low point because it was another day when we hadn't finished the length we were supposed to, and we were just feeling a little bit down and thinking, what are the other teams doing that we aren't? Why is this so difficult? And, I think there was a point where we all left campsite quite late into the evening and dived into the local pub in Fort Augustus and drowned our sorrows, which did help to a point, I think, because we came away the next day, and I think we sort of steeled ourselves and was like, yeah, you know what, let's not worry about this. Let's just crack on and deal with whatever happens. So, but that was, I think, probably certainly on the track laying side of things, that was the worst day in my view. I don't know what your feelings are about that, Dick, but certainly for morale, it was the worst day for our team.
It was interesting for our team because Team B, I don't know whether we were intentionally being given easier sections or whether, as we suspected, they didn't know what they were doing and they were just handing out sections of line, complete guesswork.
I suspect probably that one.
Yeah. But I think in the end, by our tally, we helped you out roughly 7 times.
Yeah.
And there was this kind of feeling of either you're getting harder work than we are, which implies that there is a plan.
Yeah.
Or your team is overmanaged. And the problem then came for us was every time we went to help you, Paul snapped into this kind of managerial integration mode.
Yeah.
Which just really pissed off Charlie.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like, yes, you're just kind of now over managing us.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing from Paul's point of view, and I'll step in and defend him a bit here, he's been working that section all day. He knows what's where. So it kind of makes sense that he's kind of going, right, this is where we need things to be. And I can understand as well why that would have got Charlie's back up, as you say. I can see why he would have been doing that, because he's probably looking at, right, I know what we've been doing all day, I know what's missing, and I know what needs doing. So it kind of makes sense that he's going in and taking charge in a way. But like you say, I can completely understand why that would put someone's back up and, in fact, did. So
there was a magnificent moment which unfortunately our camera was turned off for, where I think it was like in the last couple of days. Oh no, it was, I know it perfectly. It was the day when everyone ended up working on the same bit. It was helping you and D team out to meet up just before the last day of Inverness.
yes, I wasn't there for that bit because I was on train team by
You were
then,
on the
but
train.
yes.
Well, anyway, we'd finished our bit and got up to the end of yours, and found this mound of track just left at the joining point. And that's when we got a message from Dix just saying, "Can you go and take all your remaining track and go and help Team C? It seems like they haven't been given enough track." And we were just looking at this pile, going, "Okay." But
Yeah, a little awkward.
Standing in front of it, Charlie made this passionate speech about how we're not just... We actually want to go back and have showers. We've done our day's work. We can let you burn on your own. And he walks backward, trips over, and falls back into the pile. and it was like, it was a magnificent speech. And it was
completely ruined.
Libby, our camera, was packing her equipment away. And was undecided as to whether she would unpack it or not. And she was there going, "No, that would have been the best shot and everything, but missed it. Oh well."
I wasn't there for that particular incident because that must have been the time I'd been signed off by the hospital. But I do know several times, at least 3, Team C actually ran out of track, and we were sitting there twiddling our thumbs, waiting for fresh deliveries by van.
Yeah, and I think certainly that happened on an occasion when I was there, and I know for a fact that we'd got to the site, found the track, loaded it all up onto the quad bike and raced off with it, and then run out probably about a third of the way into the section we were meant to do, and then sat twiddling our thumbs for hours because the vans, they were out there with the track we needed, but they didn't know where we were. And it just got a bit ridiculous.
See, this was H's thing, was that the vans were kind of on their own logistical idea of what they were supposed to be doing. And we certainly had it a couple of times. And again, this is kind of why there was a large pile of track at the end of your track. There was just this idea that we'd be, someone would just go back and pick up all the rest of the track. We had quad bikes and we had trailers. We could have gone back and got it. And so they would just dump it at the same places they had before, not try and find us.
No, exactly. Which would mean we had obviously loaded up the track that we'd been given at the time, but then, which again makes us look stupid, but not actually our fault. Anyway, are we all in a position to carry on? I think we're into the last 10 minutes now, aren't we?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, if everybody is ready then, in 3, 2, 1. Lovely shot of a rainbow there. I think this bit is... Yeah, this is in Fort Augustus. They've just said that, going through the town.
Yeah.
This was another wonderful... Is that for the new traffic lights? Marvellous. This was really, really nice that so many people just along the route were just so intrigued by the whole affair. We had a couple of people who got sort of like arsey with us, and were complaining about road closures and this, that, the other. But, genuinely, I think the vast majority of the people we came across were just, A, confused, and B, when we explained it, just sort of intrigued by the whole thing. So
I thought we were a complete band of nutters.
Well, yes, that too. But, yeah, there's 2 runners here just looking completely... What? See, they're blaming the wind there. I'm not so convinced that the wind was much of a factor that low to the ground, but...
See, this is why you need the windmill.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. It is interesting. There was one really horrible section. It was along the canal, so it should have been really quite nice. We were coming up toward a lock, I think it was just before this. And this boat pulled up alongside us. We just come in and there was a mooring berth next to us. So walked off and just helped them tie up.
Mm.
And they climbed out the boat and they said, "What are you guys doing?" And I said, "Oh, we're just laying a model railway across Scotland." And they said, "We're just going to get back in the boat now. Can you just tie us and
yeah.
they went across the lake and explored and came back like an hour later, and we were still there. And they were there going, "You're still laying your model railway then?"
We have just lost the carriage because it kept blowing over. And I can see from this shot the paint on the cylinder block. You can see here, mine's already started to get some scratches, but that's meant to be black. It is now completely brass. It was much easier light engine though, because the coach bouncing around on the back just was not helpful.
I'm not going to say that it was a quickly built kit that wasn't perhaps designed for this track.
No.
But...
yeah, here's a good bit. The quad has just gone in the river.
If we'd had an amphibious quad, we still would have lost it, but... See, this is always good when they just have a crane. All of the regular barges on there just have small cranes for clearing debris out of the canal.
The bloke in the glasses here, I'm pretty sure that's the
he's the head producer.
Head producer from Love Productions.
Yeah.
Yes.
He spent most of the day very, very stressed.
Oliver.
In fact, he spent most of the project very, very stressed.
Yeah. I had quite an amusing conversation with a producer on another series I was working on for a bit, where I pointed out how to spot the lead producer is that they always go for the same green, olive drab green trench coat and flat cap.
Yeah.
Every single production, they always go for the same. And I said perhaps that's why Dick was kind of such a strong influence in that, was because he was also wearing the drab grey and the flat cap.
That is some wheel slip going on in that shot. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, their quad has run out of oil at this point, I think.
Yeah, all the quads
yeah.
had.
Yeah, this was just something that, and bless the production team. They had their biggest project to date had been putting some ovens in a tent and making people make cake. Bless them. They clearly did not realise how much of a logistical undertaking this thing was. Oh, it'll be easy. We'll put some tents up. They'll lay some trap. We'll run a train. It'll be great. Little things like this just kept slipping through the cracks. And as again, television production degree, I have so much sympathy for them, because there must just be so many little things that you probably just wouldn't even think about, but that when they go wrong must just be so obvious.
Then again, could you think about the health and safety talk briefing that they had on British Bake Off? I mean, with the cookers and the knives.
I mean, you think about the amount that was covered in our safety briefing. It was all nitty-gritty this, you must do this, you must do that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Just getting silly. But again, there was so much they missed. You could not cover everything. It was just not plausible. Again, I resent this. Help Paul catch up. I mean, come on. The guy did his best.
Yeah. Every team did their best. Come on, man. But I think something about the whole situation had just riled up H, and someone was putting pressure on top of him on that.
Yeah. Every single corner, I can say this confidently as a member of train team, I do not think there was a single section of that curved track where it didn't come off.
I do remember a huge cheer going up when it didn't fall off on one corner for me. And then
here we are.
It fell over on its own.
You remember the mitre box I was mentioning earlier? You'd just seen an excellent demonstration of our guys soaring some track in one. See, they're just coming along now, and again, I think this is probably the point you got very annoyed, Dick. They have literally just come in and trashed every bit of work we've done and basically said, no, you don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. It's like, oh, for God's sake.
No, it
No,
wasn't.
it bloody wasn't, you sod.
You lying sod. Because you told us to, eh?
Quite, yeah. Literally, we had this conversation. You cannot winch around a corner, so we made sure we put a turntable on every corner.
No, I think, and I'm going to have to apologise for this one, because it's kind of because of our team that you probably got this flack.
Yeah.
On another section on the same day, I think it probably was, we had a really windy piece of track, and we were given this praise of well done, because we just engineered a dead straight cut through off the track, off the main path. We just engineered this long dead straight, and we were given praise for this. And
yeah.
We're kind of there going, but surely everyone's doing this. You just see where, instead of just following the path all the way, you just look for shortcuts.
No,
yeah.
I'm sorry. We were instructed to put a turntable for every corner or sharp bend.
And that's exactly what we did.
And this, when he said about the survey, Pip went and did the survey. She's a qualified engineer, for crying out loud.
You'd be hard pressed to find someone better qualified to do that job.
Pip did the survey
it's...
and calculated how many turntables we'd need to do the job.
On a slightly happier note, sorry, carry on, Dick. I didn't realise you'd finished. Carry on.
No, go on.
I was about to say they've just put the viaduct in, and it does look marvellous. And you can see the water levels come up, and it's actually coming under it, which is it looks spectacular. That really good.
If I remember correctly, they had a problem because they hadn't put enough weight in it, in the bottoms of it, so it shifted with a load of the water.
Sorry, Dick. You were saying. Do continue.
Go on, Dick.
No, I'm just trying to keep my blood pressure under control.
And she's off again.
I'm not saying we followed instructions blindly, but we were following the principle, and Pip surveyed on that principle. And if you might remember, she wrote everything down.
She did,
on the back of a block of wood.
I mean, literally angles, degrees of the corners, and everything.
Yes,
this was a full, proper environmental survey.
Hey ho. I enjoyed doing the woodwork, so we'll just
Kept you busy for an afternoon, didn't it? And that's the end of episode 2. I have to say, I think the feel of the programme changes from episode 3 onwards. I don't know what you guys think about this. I think it focuses heavily on like the drama in the first 2. They kind of edge away from that in the final 3.
There was a theory that certainly by the third one they had the idea of what people were kind of wanting to see in the show. And they may have made some edits to kind of change it.
Well, we know for certain that they did, because there is a blurb that talks about one of the team members actually leaving the project, which they did. But that never is shown in the episode. So there was definitely a change made there. So I think possibly they were looking at this and thinking, we need to go more feel-good with this. And that's exactly what they ended up doing.
What was in Radio Times was not what was shown.
No.
Yeah.
Certainly not.
And that was changed within days.
But you can also see from some of the cuts, particularly between the first and second episodes, you could see that there is supposed to be another episode between them, because none of the things which happen at the end of the first episode relay into something in the second.
No, quite.
So there is a lot of.
I think it's down to a few things. I think Channel 4 perhaps ordered 6 to start with, and then it was reduced to 5. I don't really know the ins and outs. Jenny might know more than about that, because I think she's still in touch with some people at Love Productions. So perhaps if she comes on, she can enlighten us. I don't know. We'll see.
I do know that they haven't if they did make an episode, basically episode 1.5, they don't have it anymore.
No.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Although,
but hey ho.
Because I probably won't be around for the third episode, which I forgot is the one with the party in it. I kept a bottle of champagne.
Oh, fantastic! That is amazing.
It's waiting for a BLR reunion.
It's going to happen. Once Plague has gone away, we will do it.
Yes.
Les has just said something quite important. He said, the old winch issue, we were told not to obstruct the path, which was why we had the number of turntables we did. I was with Pip on the recce, and I've got that block of wood. and i.e. the block of wood with all the survey details on it. And that's the point, isn't it? The key thing that happened throughout this project, the goalposts kept being moved. Or more accurately, to give it a more literal thing, the combs kept being moved.
Everything kept being moved. And again, it's one of the things which, talking to H and Claire afterward, was they were there going, there was never any kind of fixed goalpost from the very, very beginning of watching the show. And even as they were going through, they had volunteers, and they're like, nope, we're going to keep on changing them. And H and Claire just had to go along with it.
Yeah. And and with that knowledge, I can understand why H got a bit arsey during the shoot, and I think that I can forgive a lot. Put it that way. Lunchgate is not one of those things, I have to say, but I can forgive a lot. So
I think something happened to me that was never televised.
You fell over.
But
yes, we do need to talk about this because
it was something else. I was driving the quad bike. We were on a hillside pathway, is the best way I can describe it. We'd laid.
I know what you're about to say. This is the funniest story, I think, from the whole exercise. Carry on.
We laid half a mile, and we were absolutely bang on where we should have been. Had lunch. And as we were about to pull away, I got on my quad bike and I couldn't find my phone. And it was a new phone and I was desperate about it. And I looked everywhere. No, I hadn't got it. And Pip said, we'll find your phone, Dick. You just get on. I said, but it could be anywhere up there. Anywhere. So
of course, no phone signal, so you can't even ring the damn thing.
No. She said, we'll find your phone, Dick. Just get on so we can get moving. So I was muttering and cursing and fluffering. Started the bike up, carried on moving down the hill. And I can't remember the name of our cameraman at the time, the one who left. Was it Tony?
Could be. I've forgotten everyone's name. I have to be honest.
Bell was assigned.
Yeah, he came afterwards, didn't he? Yeah.
Anyway, excuse me. As I went past them, the camera was running, and Bell said, "Dick, is that your phone?" So I stopped the bike, looked down, and what had happened, because I was wearing my high-vis stuff, when I thought I'd put the phone in my trouser pocket, it had slipped between the high-vis and my trousers. And there it was, right down by my ankle, looking very phone-shaped. So I said, there's a God in heaven, I've found my phone. So I said, right, started to get it, Bell started to get it out for me. But the cameraman said, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Bell, can you put it back and we'll do that shot again? So I backed the bike up a few yards, came down, and Bell said, Dick, is that your phone? And again I said, there's a God in heaven, I found my phone. So it was completely staged.
Did it end up? It didn't end up in the show in the end, did it?
No, it didn't.
There were loads of lovely little moments that didn't, and that which leads quite neatly actually into the story we do need to tell, because Dick, you'll notice as we continue watching these over the next couple of weeks, is conspicuously absent for quite a large chunk of the show, and the reason for this
Lots
kind
of people are.
Yes. Well, yes, but Dick more than most. The reason behind this relates back to what we were saying earlier, because Dick, as he said, had done his toe in and was bleeding all over the tent. And I very helpfully went and got a medic for him. And I think, Dick, if I hand over to you now, it's probably best to explain what happened over the next few days following that.
I began to feel unwell, and I can't remember the town we were in, but it was we were laying track down a narrow pavement, down a hill, with traffic whizzing up and down. I can't remember where it was.
I think I must have not been with the track laying team by this point, because I don't remember this bit. So.
I don't think you were.
Yeah.
My foot really hurt. Went and got the medic, and he looked at it, and my toe was a whiter shade of green, and he said, "Need an ambulance. I mean, got to get you to hospital." So I was taken to hospital, seen by a cardiovascular surgeon who gave me the necessary injections, but she said, "You can't stay on the show. You've got to come off and you've got to sleep in a proper bed for 3 nights." So Love Productions, bless their heart, looked after me immensely well. Really, really did. They put me up in a hotel in Inverness, and I waited for the team to catch me up. And it was on the last day, the very last day, no, the last evening, I came down to your camp where you were then, just to say hello to everybody coming back in. And then I went back to my hotel. And on the final day, I walked or got a taxi to the Inverness Castle. I wanted to be there at the end. So
it wouldn't have been right without you being there.
It would have seemed a bit of a cheat on one hand. But it was an incredibly emotional moment, I thought. Incredibly emotional.
And of course, by this time, because I hadn't seen you the evening before, because again, I was out in the rain and the wind with the train that evening. So that was the first time I'd seen you since you'd been rushed off to hospital. And I remember just feeling so relieved that you were there and upright, because I was kind of getting dribs and drabs of information about how you've been rushed off to hospital, or they're putting him up in a Premier Inn, all of this. But I had not seen you, and so until I saw you with my own eyes, I was just in the back of my head, I was worrying constantly. Because, by this time, I'd been with, Dick, and we'd been sharing a tent for well over a week and a half. So, we'd become very close. And Dick lives just, like, a few miles up the road from where I live. So, we've stayed in touch, and we, before plague, saw each other quite regularly. And it was just this very emotional moment. This was, now a very good friend of mine who was very unwell and had literally made himself ill by doing this amazing thing we were doing. And it was very emotional bumping into you at the castle at the end. It was, genuinely tears were shed that afternoon, weren't they?
Yeah.
It was oh dear. We're so
the tears were pouring down my face at the final, and I won't say now what I actually said because it is in episode 5.
Yes, the impact of those words is better when you see it, so I won't spoil that for anyone.
And Lynn was furious.
I can imagine. Oh, bless
It's been lovely talking with you all.
Likewise. Before
Great to see you both.
Before we go on, does anyone in the chat room have any further questions for Dick or Derry? Or for me? I'm happy to answer them, but just bear in mind I am going to be here for the next 2 weeks. So, if anyone has any final questions for any of us, please throw them in the chat room now, and we will, I'm sure, cobble an answer together between the three of us. Go on.
What was the team motto of Team C?
Oh,
Can anyone in the chat room answer?
Oh, God. I've forgotten it. That's terrible, isn't it?
I was Team B. I'm safe from this one.
Oh, I remember you telling me what it was, but I wasn't there when it was sort of inaugurated as the team thing.
Anyone? Yes, you were.
Was I? Oh God, yeah.
Is there anyone in the chat room still?
There probably are a few people. I can see, because unfortunately the software I use, the viewer count drops to 0 automatically after about an hour, so I can't see from there. But I can see there are a few people keep dropping things in. So yeah, if anyone does know what that is.
The initials are JFDI.
Yes! Now I remember! Now I remember!
The team motto.
Yes, I should have remembered that, because we literally sang JFDI to the tune of YMCA on the way to the track bed.
That's right.
Amazing. Oh God. There's a bit you didn't mention in your story, Dick, that I was there to actually see happen. It was at the campsite. I think there was a day before you were actually taken to hospital where you weren't feeling well, so you stayed at the campsite.
That's right.
Yeah. Talk about what the camera crew made you do.
Not the hokey cokey.
Yes.
No, not the hokey cokey.
Yeah, it was the day before, and I hadn't realised it was the infection that was making me feel so rough. But it was oh goodness me. Team A leader.
Lawrence.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, it was Lawrence who said, "You're not looking good, Dick," and he spoke to Paul, and he said, the two of them said, "No, you can't go out today." But I walked up with my walking stick. I walked up to the car park just to see everybody off. And then, as I was waving, as you drove off, I turned round to walk back to my tent, and the cameras were rolling. And the camera followed me all the way down towards my tent. And I stopped, turned round, and they were still filming. I said, "Haven't you got enough yet?" And the camera lassie, can't remember her name.
Lady with red hair, wasn't it? I don't know her name, but yeah.
Lady with red hair. He said, "Dick, there's not going to be a dry eye in the house if this one goes out."
And again, they didn't put it in.
No.
I'm going to interject as well because yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yes, I will interject with another story because I was actually due to go out that day on the afternoon shift with the train. Now, of course, the production crew changed all of this that morning.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
They really did pull through a loop. We really did. But I remember being asked very specifically by Lawrence and, well, not just, if you're going to be here all morning, can you keep an eye on Dick, keep him company. Don't let him get too depressed, he needs cheering up.
Oh, how lovely. I didn't know that.
Yes, I figured that this is the moment to say that. Yes, you were well thought of by everyone, and I said, of course I will. I'll do that anyway. But,
how lovely.
And then, of course, I got dragged off to late track anyway because production had changed everything.
Jenny was off that day, though. I chatted to Jenny.
I have a memory of that as well.
Completely secret.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'd actually sat down and had a long conversation with Jenny. Yeah.
We've only had one question. So the question is, do you think there should have been a behind-the-scenes special?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I even suggested it to Charlotte. I said that the production, for all the problems, the production was incredible. It was vast.
It must have been a
and they should
logistical
have
nightmare.
done the making of documentary. And such a shame that they didn't.
Yeah.
I personally actually kind of say no to that because certainly for Team B and several other teams, I have a feeling that it would kind of turn into This Is Spinal Tap. In that you have the ironic mistake on how to make a TV show.
You may have a point there. I I think ultimately, it was Alex. You said earlier in the chat room about how there's 500 hours plus of footage that weren't used. You could make this show again and again and again and tell a different story each time. If people were interested enough and had there been the funding to do it, you could have just run Biggest Little Railway for a year and still not have covered everything. And it was...
The weird shame of the programme was they had so many camera crews on and so much going on that they had 500 hours of footage.
Yeah, ridiculous. As
it was, they were trying to crop down 2 weeks into 5 hours.
Yeah, and 45 minutes of each episode, so it's more like, hang on a minute, quick maths in my head, 4
hours 30.
4 hours 30, there you go. It's nothing really when you look at all of the stuff we did, and so much great stuff fell on the cutting room floor, and it was gutting, but, in a way, it told the story that it told, and, We've still got the memories, and that's the important thing. We can point at the show and go, that's wrong, they did that wrong, that was not true, that's a lie.
We've still got the memories of the trauma, the PTSD.
The midge bites.
I can't even look at a silver lady now without hearing
Oh dear. But yeah, no, I think it is a shame that more was not done with it, to be honest. And I think it was pitched during the filming that they would consider doing a second series, and I think there were some really fantastic suggestions of what we could do. I think my favourite one was building a railway across Malta, which would have been quite the undertaking. Very different environment, of course, so the hotels would have had to be a bit nicer. That's all I've got to say.
Well, I was quite impressed by one. Someone had said to do the Offa's Dyke path, which I said I knew the path well, and I said, considering it crosses 3 quarries, like the cliff just is there. Yeah, you could have even had just the small glider section. Pull the lady off a cliff and the wings work.
Just get it progressively, more and more unrealistic as the show goes on. Oh God, no. Do you know what though? In a way, I'm kind of glad, and I think we've got to a point now where I think hand on heart we can say that there's not going to be another one. I don't think anyone is ever going to be mad enough to do something like this again. And in a way, although we were all talking about it at the time and thinking, yeah, if you do another one, we should totally do this, or we'd love to do this, or whatever. I'm kind of glad they're not, because that just makes what we did this footprint in history of something a bunch of really mad people got together and did one summer. And there's nothing really more British than that, I don't think, is there? It sums up the hobby I think we all are part of, really, doesn't it? We did this thing. Why did we do it? We had 2 weeks to kill. Is basically the answer. It's Well,
I mean, quite literally on my part, as I put on my application form to go, why have you chosen to do this? Because it was entirely because my boss at work had said that I couldn't take any holiday time.
I see.
So that was the entire reason for doing it for me.
Fantastic.
I mean, the trains was fun too, and all the people and everything. But
marvellous. Okay, well, I suspect that is the end of the questions. So I think we will. What are your plans for Christmas? Lots of drinking.
I was planning to go back to Drumnadrocket and relay.
I liked Drumnadrocket.
Oh, it was a nice place, Drumnadrocket. Really pretty.
Served a good. The pub there had a tremendous range of whiskies.
Oh yeah, the Loch Ness Inn.
Yeah.
That's
I think
the one.
you and I went for a meal there one afternoon, Dick.
We
I think,
did.
didn't we? Yes.
We did.
The day before you got dragged off to hospital, I believe.
Yes.
So, yeah. No, it was a lovely pub. Really nice.
There was one interesting moment in the Loch Ness Inn because everyone went to it. Absolutely everyone.
Yeah, but not at the same time.
well, no, but even so I had this fun moment. I was outside the back of it, wondering whether to go back to camp. When this there were these two people just talking outside, so I went up and said to them, and the first one was just this gruff local who's drunk there every day for the last 20 years. Was there going, I've never seen it this full. What are you like? The other one was the Love Productions head accountant. They're going, I'm here to make sure that they don't put it on our tab. She had genuinely, she'd had this thing from one of the crew members saying that H and Claire were going and putting stuff onto the when they were going out drinking. So she came all the way from London to be with us to monitor our activities in the local pub. And she went to the better pub, and Dick and H and Claire, on discovering that she was in the area, were intentionally going to like distant pubs and doing everything long distance away.
Spectacular.
It was
Wonderful.
She was magnificent.
Oh, blimey. If you wanted a new series, how about asking for James May to host it? He already did something like this.
Yeah.
And I think technically he can't sue Love Productions, but it's a very fine line between what he did and what we did, I have to say.
His was flat.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
Yeah, he went for easy mode, basically. Properly scaled
Yep.
trains, an idea what he was doing.
Yeah, we did it on expert mode.
And no turntables.
No.
Yeah, no turn.
Battery all the way along. Cheating.
And he still didn't do it.
No.
No, he did the second time.
Oh, yes.
Oh, blimey. Right.
I've got my parcel to open.
Yes. Indeedy.
Unboxing.
We could see the birth of a YouTube celebrity here. What is it you've actually bought, Dick?
It's a regional railways coach.
Oh, lovely. Very nice
Hard
indeed.
to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
There
is
are
it
like-
just me? Is it just me, or have prices of rolling stock soared in the last 2 or 3
They
years?
have. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm now paying for a coach what I used to pay for a locomotive.
Mm.
Well, then talk about how much locomotives are sold.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the railway series? I think I can't speak for you two, but I think if it wasn't for the railway series and Thomas, I think I would have got into trains anyway. But it is a perfect gateway for a young enthusiast. I mean, certainly the books. Don't bother with the television show after about series 5 because they ruined it. But the books certainly were my gateway drug to what is now a massive chunk of my life. Working in railways.
I think more than just a massive chunk. I mean, it's literally your job.
Yeah, it's
most
my
of your
hobby.
hobbies.
Yes. Yeah.
You could probably even put the Doctor Who stuff down to your love of reading from those books. So,
Probably, yes. To a point, yeah. It's
So yeah, no, your whole life really isn't.
yes, basically. Yeah. My thoughts of it is a fantastic gateway drug for the young railway enthusiast, and I highly recommend getting hooked on it. So, yeah, that's my view.
Personally, I admit my experience was I went to the Severn Valley Railway first, and as such, always remember Tor Valley, Bradley Manor, and Union of South Africa before any of the Thomas ones. In fact, my first sight of an A4 was it without its skin on, which is disturbing.
Yes, very. It looks wrong, doesn't it? It's not right.
But then going through, I met other people who liked Thomas the Tank, and I was there kind of going, yeah, but have you seen the real thing? That is so much better.
I think ironically, my earliest memory of Thomas as a character is the version at the Nene Valley Railway where I now volunteer as a guard, which is the original Thomas because it was named that by the Reverend W. Audrey himself. And there was a few years ago a big court case around it, because the then owner of the Thomas rights, Hit Entertainment, I think it was then, tried to sue the Nene Valley because they weren't paying licensing rights. And the court found in our favour, which basically, we could use the name Thomas, but not Thomas the Tank Engine. So that is how we have got around that little legal rule for many years. So
yeah, it is one that I found was interesting. I knew for several years the guy who owns the official Thomas that is meant to go around is officially set up by Mattel.
Yeah,
and but he said that's just an austerity tank with some spare miscellaneous tanks that they found in the scrapyard. But he actually used to live really close to me, and he said it's really weird why they wouldn't just let railways do it. Because if the railways stopped encouraging it, then actually the franchise would kind of die quite quickly.
Yeah,
because there's no ongoing support.
No, precisely. It's the thing is, people underestimate what Thomas has done for Heritage Railways, but also what Heritage Railways has done for Thomas. So, it's the two have a very symbiotic relationship. I think there's nothing. I mean, yes, it's fun watching trains puff around on your television, but there is nothing quite like going to an actual railway, seeing a proper steam train, smelling it, hearing it. It's that in itself. For a young child and, right through to a grown man or woman is magic. And it never stops being magic. It's...
Matt, my friend, I'm going to have to part company with you.
No problem at all, Dick. I think we should...
Can I say thank you for inviting me on?
You are quite welcome.
Wonderful.
It's been lovely seeing you. And Derry, I think I will say goodbye to you as well, because it's coming up to my bedtime. So
fair enough. You've been up since student
Yes,
o'clock.
Indeed. I am knackered.
Hopefully see you both at some point in the new year.
Hopefully so.
Most
Thank you.
certainly.
I mean, the champagne will never drink itself, and I won't let Alex out it.
Fair play. Right. All the best
Take
to both
care.
of you.
God
Thank you
bless
for
you all.
indulging me. You take care. We will speak again soon, I am sure. And from Dick and Derry, good night. And from me as well, I will say good night now. Do join us next week from 7 p.m. on Saturday. Oh, no, sorry. In fact, 6:45 p.m. on Saturday. This is... There's the failure bell. Join me from 6:45 p.m. next Saturday night, where we're going to do this all again and watch episodes 2 and 3, and I'll have some more very special guests joining me for the Biggest Little Railway watch along. Take care. I'll see you next week. Ta-da! Yes, I did mean episodes 3 and 4. I am very, very tired.